Did you know that you could invest in crypto through your retirement account? That's right. iTrust Capital allows you to invest in over 24 of the most popular cryptocurrencies. And unlike the stock market, you can buy and sell 24 hours a day. With iTrust Capital, you also get the tax benefits of a retirement account while investing in crypto. Set up an account at itrustcapital.com today, and you'll even get a $100 Bitcoin funding reward. Go to itrustcapital.com. Taxes and conditions may apply. Fees apply. Bitcoin funding reward subject to terms and conditions. Cryptocurrencies are a speculative investment with risk of loss. iTrust Capital Inc. does not provide legal investment or tax advice. Consult with a qualified legal investment or tax professional.
We are going to rock this thing, man. We are totally going to rock this thing here in just a moment here as Jimmy is going to come on in and join us for a simulcast both on UNX and across our little mini radio network. Thank you so much to Ed Clater, Horror Realm, Big Dog, and Eddie for the amazing super chats right off the bat here, guys. I very much appreciate the love that you guys give us on a nightly basis. So it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward here. We've never done this before. This is, we have with Shane and the Shift going across Canada, but this is something completely new that we are doing here. Thank you, Gary and Gary's beard. Your beard looks beautiful, my friend. So in about 30 seconds, we are going to launch our side of the radio and kick it all off. And, oh, God, I'm almost nervous like I've never done my show before. You know, honestly, I have just woo-wee. You know, I even wore my woo shirt tonight. Wore my woo shirt, you know. So it's all good. It's all great. We got about 10 seconds. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate the lovely super chat. Very much appreciate you, my friend. And do me a favor, everyone. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bubblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a simulcast going on tonight. At first, I didn't think it was going to be a simulcast. I was on with Fade to Black's Jimmy Church right before this show, and then all of a sudden we figured out the technology. So I had booked Nicole Sakach, a.k.a. Nicole Sakach, our favorite cook around here, to come on in for the first hour. Jimmy was going to join us for the second hour, but we've been able to figure out all of the technology. So we just said, hell with it. We're going to continue this radio show and simulcast it on everywhere we want to go. So I got Jimmy Church here from Fade to Black, the man whose hair is like, honestly, it's Herculean. It's a Herculean hairdo, which is absolutely beautiful. And, you know, we like a good hair and beard combination around here. And, you know, Jimmy, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. We've kind of flipped chairs here. Now it's my turn to interview you. And Nicole's here because, well, originally we were only going to bring you in for the second hour. But I'm glad we're able to figure this out, man.
Wait, Nicole can talk.
I can. Jimmy learned this.
Nicole, it's first off, it's an honor to be here, and pulling off a simulcast for our audience and yours is just this is a special treat for everybody out there. But let me back up for a second, Dave, and again, thank you. But Nicole and I, Nicole, was it a year ago? Has it been a year?
It was.
Yeah, Nicole,
a year and a week.
Nicole and I talked more in 7 or 8 days than most people should be legally allowed to on planet Earth, and we truly became friends and hung out. And one of the it was just an awesome week. But putting that aside, Nicole and I also had a special moment together with Clifford Mahooty.
Yes, you did.
And we got to hang out with Clifford, but we took one of the most spectacular pictures together, and one that I hold very dear to my heart because of Nicole's legs. But aside from that, we got to hang out with Clifford and his glowing personality. And sometimes you just don't know what the future is going to bring. And certainly we didn't know that he would leave this earthly realm this year. But Nicole and I got to share some very special moments with Clifford last year, too, as well. And so a quick toast to Clifford, Nicole, and that was just an awesome time together. So, okay. So now, who's the boss right now?
I'm the boss here. I've got. Yeah. I want to ask you something, Jimmy, because you and I both come from a sports background. Okay. Out of all the interviews you did, out of all the takes that you got, what was the weirdest story as a sports reporter that you had?
Okay. I'm going to share this with you. We were live on the air, and my two producers, Charlie and Hilton, are in front of me. They're on the other side, and we're doing the show. We take a commercial break, and during the commercial break, this was on a Friday, some things you just can't make up. This is how it went down. We get a bunch of stuff sent to us from a Pennsylvania grand jury, and we're in the commercial break, and Charlie turns to me and he goes, "Hey man, you know Sandusky, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, I think he's been indicted for sex crimes." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he hands me this stack of now, and so this was on a Friday, and I'm looking at all these official documents. And there's a general rule in journalism. You vet your sources 3 times. So I'm looking at this stuff, and I said, "Okay, guys, we're in a commercial break." And I said, "Get on the net. We got to see if this is real." And there's nothing out there. There's nothing. Now, what do? I'm holding, 40 pages of court documents with some insane things being said in them. Of course, we know what happened later. But now I'm left with a choice. Do I go live on the air with this? Or do we wait for somebody else to break the story first? And
right.
This happens in journalism all over the place. Who's going to be first? Who is going to, right? What do you do? And we broadcasted it. Good. And I read some of the documents on the air. That was on Friday. And immediately the backlash started. We posted a video on YouTube and things, and I started getting email and crazy stuff. And we had to write out the weekend. There was nothing on ESPN. There was nothing on Fox. There was nothing on CNN. And I'm thinking, man, did we just blow it? Right? What's going on? And the weekend went crazy. And I can't tell you about the insane email that I was getting and the comments and stuff, that it was all BS, of course. Well, Monday morning happens, and then the story breaks. And I had to wait 3 days. Now, did I break the story? Well, yeah I did. But at the time, I was a nobody. And what ended up happening, and we'll talk about conspiracies and UFOs and everything else, but let me say this: the stress that I went through, And to finally have CNN and ESPN and everybody else cover the Jerry Sandusky story was a big relief. Okay, it was. I was thrust into the world of Jerry Sandusky, pedophilia, this thing, and the court, and Joe Paterno has a heart attack and he dies. And I went through about a 2-month period, maybe 3 months, of covering this story every day. And I couldn't do it anymore. It took me into a dark world and up through politics and things and I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I came in one day and I said to Charlie and Hilton, I said, I'm done. I can't cover this anymore. It's turned my world dark and taken me into a dark place. I want to get back to the crazy world of sports today. And we stopped covering it. And that's it. So, out of everything, of all the stuff that when you asked me a question like that, it was that wow. Still to this day. And I don't like talking about it. People ask me about it all the time. And I just say, you know what, it happened. But no, I'm not going to discuss the case. I'm just not going to go there anymore.
I'll give you mine. NHL trade deadline 2006. I'm in the war room, and it comes down at about 8 minutes after the deadline that the Canucks have traded this 7th, 8th defenseman named Steve McCarthy to the Atlanta Thrashers. And Steve was my in the dressing room. And back when he played junior hockey, the kid, I used to be a hockey instructor before I got into radio. And the kid who was his defensive partner was a kid that I trained since 14 years old. And so I got to know Steve this way. And it comes down and I walk outside. I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think of the news? And he goes, what news? I'm like, you don't know? And he's like, no, what, Dave? I said, dude, you've been traded.
You're out of here.
He's like, he goes, and you bleep with the F word. And he goes, to who? I said, Atlanta. He goes, for what? I said, future considerations. He's like, oh, no, my wife's going to kill me. We just moved all of our stuff here from Chicago. And now I'm going to Atlanta? I said, yeah, man, you're going to Atlanta. He goes, give me 2 hours. Or give me a couple hours, call me back, I'll give you anything you want. And I was like, okay. It took him 4 hours before the Canucks finally got back to him to let him know that he had been traded.
Wow.
4 hours on deadline day. So
you know what? There's more to the story.
No, that's the story. But, I mean, just one of those things, man. It was just weird.
Let me tell you what ended up happening to me when I made the change from sports to woo, right? The sports as a sportscaster consumes you.
Yes.
It's box scores, it's stats, it's every player of every sport in every division everywhere you're now, and the things that you do to prep for a show every single day. And it was consuming. And when I made the flip, I stopped watching all sports. I stopped reading. No more ESPN. No more, nothing. I erased it from my life. And now when friends, and it continues to this day, and when my friends bring up sports, I have no idea, Dave. I have no idea.
Same way. I had to quit. I had to quit my online hockey league because I didn't know who half the players were anymore. And I'm just like, this isn't like me. Like, I could tell you the first overall picks from 1978 to 2009 in the NHL draft. And now what the hell has become of me? This is horrible. I don't know if I like this person.
Yeah, when who were the relief pitchers for the Texas Rangers in 1995?
Oh, yeah.
I could go, blip, 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 right? It's gone, man. I've defragged my hard drive.
Yep.
It's just all gone. But I can tell you all about Roswell.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. When you get hit with the passion of the woo, it continues. And Nicole, hello. How are you?
Hi guys.
Nicole Sakach, everyone.
Do you guys want to hear my sports story?
You know what? It's all on the table tonight.
Well, I actually lean more towards you guys now these days. Like, I informed Dave the other night that I was actually a cheerleader for years and years and actually went on scholarship to college for cheerleading. He didn't know things like that existed. So it sucked all my sports love out of me. I just can't do it anymore. And I tuned in just in time for the Cubs to come out of their, 100-year losing streak and win the World Series. And now I'm out again. I'm out.
That's all, no more sports. It's kind of weird. I'm the same way in that the night before the Super Bowl, tell me who's playing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm cool. World Series, Stanley Cup, just tell me what's up the night before. And I'll dial myself in the next day. And then after it's over, who was in the Super Bowl this year? The Rams. Okay.
Yeah, the Rams.
The LA Rams won. Even that's gone, right? Even that's gone. It's just gone. It's the way it is. The world of woo, and especially now, is so not only consuming, but things are breaking like every single day. And it's not just a sighting. It's not just, the latest video and things that are going on, because that's great too. But now it's the Senate and its budgets and the Department of Defense. And you have to really, really stay on top of things. And the Gillibrand Amendment, 140 pages, right?
Oh, wow.
Or the latest Jazz Shaw, article that's coming out, or Chris Mellon. This stuff takes up my time, just like the box scores did back when I was doing sports.
Mine as well. And Jimmy, Dave knows this about me. Every time you talk to me, I continue on conversations that may have happened like months and months ago, like the drop of nothing. And you just sparked something that reminded me what me, you, and Richard Dolan were talking about in Laughlin. And it was the current climate of the public and what they know about ufology. And we were talking about, with this media overload, how we're starting, like, everyday people, we're hearing them talk about it like water cooler conversation, not just like in, hey, did you see X-Files? That's crazy, Well,
it's but Nicole, it's everywhere today.
I know. But this is what I want to know, if you've duly noted, over the last 2 months, when I've been out in the world, of course, I'm the UFO lady, but people are more specific with it now. They're like, I know that bill just passed. It was in the COVID amendment, and they're like sparking up like more intelligent conversation, not just, oh, well, I don't think you're weird that you believe in UFOs. It has turned, and I was wondering if you've noticed that. Dave, you as well.
Yes. Last night, my daughter, Nicole, it's her birthday, 27 years
birthday.
old.
Happy birthday.
It was awesome. So we go out to dinner, and we're at a restaurant that my mother-in-law picked out. And so we go, and we have this dinner, and it's all good. Check this out. I'm not making up any of this. So there was a guitar player playing acoustic guitar, for the restaurant up on the stage in the background. And he was pretty good, actually. And so we give Nicole $20 to go and tip him. We're done with our dinner and things. So we're walking out, and this is on all that I love. This is what happens. So my daughter, her Aunt Wendy, and my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law, Evelyn, they're talking to this guitar player and telling him that he was great. And then I step up, and this is what happens. Are you Jimmy Church?
Nice.
And I went, oh, stop with that. And he goes, man, I heard your voice from across the restaurant, and I couldn't believe it that you were in here. I said, wait a minute. No, you're setting me up. No. And my mother-in-law goes, he knows who. And I was like, and suddenly we're talking UFOs.
Beautiful.
With the guitar player at the that is where it has gone today. You know, everybody is aware and everybody wants answers. And I loved I walked out of the restaurant, did the selfies, you know, the whole thing. Walked out smiling, thinking to myself, back to Nicole's point, that everybody is interested in this subject these days. And is it who's caused this? I think it's not Tucker Carlson. It's not Lou Elizondo. It's not Jimmy Church. It's not Dave Scott. It's not Nicole Sakach. No. It's always been there. It's always been there. Now there's a freedom of talking about it out in the open.
Very true.
But I think that the fascination with this has always been there. Everybody has wondered about this. You know, this isn't some new thing that started in 2017 with the New York Times. No, absolutely not. And it makes me smile. It truly makes me smile.
Do you guys think we're getting better at expressing our ufology to the public? Do you think in this vast world that we live in, or, you know, the rabbit holes, do you think we're getting better at honing our skills?
Ray Magliozzi here. I don't cook much, but when I need ingredients for my car, eBay Motors has 122 million options. So whether I toasted my transmission or cooked my clutch, eBay Motors has all the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
Looking for a way to grow your business? Postcard Mania allows you to target prospects or businesses precisely by hundreds of demographics. We'll deliver a gorgeous postcard advertising your business and displaying matching ads on Google, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll create your campaign based on proven results from our 103,000 clients. Visit postcardmania.com/Pandora to get your first 1,000 postcards free.
To make our voice heard, because I've seen a refinement, I think, in the last 10 years in our field. And I can't help but think that has something to do with the current climate as well. Like, there's been an interesting point brought up lately in circles about mainstream media not picking up on ufology because they don't exactly know what the narrative is yet. So what, Dave, let's start with you and then we'll kick it back to Jimmy. But what do you guys think our narrative is driving this forward now?
Well, we got 2 minutes on mine, and I think, Jimmy, you got about a minute. I'll let you go first.
Dave, you just read my mind. Okay, we'll go with 2 minutes, okay?
All right.
We'll lock our studio clocks at 9:29. I'll say this, Nicole, if I walk up to somebody at a Starbucks and the server leans over to me and says, you know, here's your white mocha frap. And by the way, Jimmy, what do you think? Interdimensional or nuts and bolts craft? Right? if I get that, then the rest of the world is starting to listen. And I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close.
I think we are too. And I think, though, that the mainstream media has to, and it's going to be led by the United States media if they can get their crap together. But I really think that they need to open up the journalists, and a journalist outside of the New York Times has to take that chance, put that maybe what they feel is their career on the line and really delve into the history of this. Look, any documentaries, Jimmy, you've been a part of a bunch of documentaries over the years, and we got a lot of friends who make them. They're just not doing it. We need a Ross Coulthart type of journalist in the United States, maybe a 60 Minutes type person, to come in and really break open the history, but not interview the same people over again. Let's get some mixture in there. That's what we need.
And again, we're getting close to that, and back to, my little Jerry Sandusky story. Somebody's got to cross the line first, right? And everybody's waiting for that moment. And with that, I'm ready to take my break. Dave?
Yeah, I'm good in about 15 seconds here. So, Jimmy, I'm going to send you out, and we'll bring Jimmy back in momentarily. Nicole Sakach, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. It is UFOs Fading to Black here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We are having a hell of a time. Do you see Nicole just take charge of my show there? Just, hey, Jimmy, Dave, shut up. I'm going to ask some questions now. It was fantastic. We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to get more into UFOs and everything that goes along with it. First time simulcasting Spaced Out Radio, Fade to Black's Jimmy Church, and the ever-talented Nicole Sakach. We continue on right after this on Spaced Out Radio. All right. This is fun, guys.
This is fun. This is a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. I'm really glad that we did this. Very glad that we did this. And I'm going to give 100% credit to Jimmy for getting hold of me about a week ago, and he's like, "What do you think? I want to interview you." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." He goes, "Well, do you think we could cross over into your show?" I said, "Why not? Why couldn't we?" And
I love it.
I think it's great. It also shows, Nicole, like everybody in this field is ready for war with tension and drama and everything. And something like this, I think, helps. It does its little bandage of putting the drama to the side, put that Band-Aid on, and it kind of brings two sides together into a peaceful community that we can all coexist. We're allowed to have maybe different angles or different thoughts or different muses when it comes to this. But you know what? We're all allowed, man. We're all allowed. And I'm having a blast tonight. This is fun for me.
It is a lot of fun. And, I might be speaking to the YouTubers here for the next second or so, but this is kind of like, I'm thinking back like 4, 5, 6 years ago when you're looking for things in the middle of the night to entertain you. And like stacking up like Jimmy's show and your show. And it's like there needs to be one after, there needs to be one before. But this is like a dream, when you have 4 shows in a row that you can, I'm speaking as a mom now, a single mom, when you have 4 shows in a row that you can tune out to and just let it roll. And, a girl has dreams, but no, this has been a great night. You and Jimmy are so like-minded, but have like these little differences and nuances in your approach. And so it's just great. It's been all around fun, and you mentioned it earlier. It always seems like there's wars going on, not just in the world, but inside our own community. So I think it's important to show people supporting each other and, taking the time out of their time to do that. And yeah,
I think it's
hold hands and bring on the love and light. And
yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I know I can see Jimmy sitting back in his studio here. I'm not sure if he wants to come back in, or he's probably busy getting his show set back up here. Well, we got a couple more minutes to go here for our break here at the bottom of the hour. But I will say this, it's what a wonderful night, and maybe a little bit of history made here tonight between Spaced Out Radio and Fade to Black from Jimmy Church. This was all Jimmy's idea, and we just ran with it because it sounded like a great idea. And I'm going to be honest. Like I said just a moment ago, I'm at a little bit of a loss for words, which normally I'm not, and I'm having a lot of fun here. And it's, I got to say earlier on, I got to say some of my stories to Jimmy that he had never heard because, we went in cold on each other. I don't know anything about him. He didn't know anything about me. And we went in cold on each other. And that is what makes great radio is I didn't have to worry about him being unprepared, and he didn't have to worry about me being unprepared because we're both pros and been doing this a long time. And we're able to really focus in on what we are doing here. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time. And Jimmy, we got about 1 minute here. And it's just something that I thank all of you guys out there listening. Originally, Jimmy was going to come on for the second hour of the show, but we figured out a way to simulcast it. So Nicole is here because she was going to be my first hour guest, and she's like, well, do you want me to back out? You and Jimmy can continue. I said, hell no. Hell no. When I booked Nicole Sakach on this show, she's coming on. She is totally coming on the radio with us. So
that's right.
What you're hearing tonight is really like old friends. Even though Jimmy and I are very new to each other, it's like old friends getting together and just shooting the shit about what we are all about and what we're talking about here. So thank you to everybody who has hit the super chat so far, and we're going to come back here right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate you taking the time. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, Shirky Poo's Newswire you can read. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. And we are here tonight, Jimmy Church from Fade to Black, and we have Nicole Sakach, researcher, author extraordinaire, and we absolutely love her around here, and we're just going to wait for Jimmy to unmute himself so that way we can kind of simulcast with what we are doing and get into some UFO talk here on SOR and Fade to Black, as we'll be on Fade to Black as well for the next 20-some minutes till the top of the hour. Jimmy, thank you for joining us. This is fun, man.
Yeah, totally fun. And I got to unmute myself. This is pretty cool. Yeah, UFOs. And the question is, who is the host right now? I'm going to say Dave Scott is the host because I just need to take some time off. And but Dave, I'm going to throw this back at you.
Sure.
When you have somebody like myself on the show and you've got to tee up, that question, what would that question be right now?
It would be, what kind of hair products do you use to keep your mane looking fine, sharp, and shiny?
Oh, man. I currently am using, I'm not making this up, okay? I'm just going to tell you straight up. Last year at the Conscious Life Expo, next to my booth was a company that had hair products, and they stocked me up. And so I'm not going to say the brand. That would be uncouth. That wouldn't be right. But I love their products. And I've been using them now for the last year. And now this is a private moment. This is one of my private moments. So I'm grabbing the conditioner, right, this morning. I'm like, oh man, I've got to get a hold of them. I've got to get. I don't want to. And yeah. I'm in love with these hair products. So they're in a blue bottle. I'll go that far.
Wonderful. No, seriously though. I mean, I know our audience wants to hear us talk a lot about UFOs, but Jimmy, for you, like I said on your program earlier, the big question for me is why me? So why did all of these situations and these happenings happen to me? For you, as someone who is a broadcaster, wanted to do this and have reached the pinnacle, and now you've really, ingrained yourself within and built your own Fate or Not community, why is this subject still important to you, not only on a humanities scale, but a journalistic scale as well?
Because, and that's a great question, and I'll say this, that a lot of, even though you touched upon a little bit of this earlier, a lot of the mainstream stuff that we get, which is good, I'm glad the conversation is happening, but it's still a load of BS. And I have always wanted to support the community and support the community first. And I know that when like your experiences, I've had my own too. And there is no way that somebody is going to convince me that some of the sightings that I've had are terrestrial or a secret government program, that it was something that is here from this earth. No. And I'm still waiting for somebody to come at me and want to know what we saw. When I say we, because generally speaking, I've seen things with a group of people. Now, and I'll say this. I've told this story many times, but it needs to be repeated. I had a mass sighting 7-8 years ago, and I'm with a couple of hundred people. And we see this thing, the now infamous, right? The green chrome balls, right? So I have this sighting, and that week I'm on coast to coast, and Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday, I'm on coast for 2 or 3 days. And Lisa, the executive producer of Coast, calls me up and says, "Okay, so what's going on?" This is on the Sunday after the sighting. She goes, "What are you doing on Friday?" And I said, "Well, Friday's open lines." And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, but my guest is going to be me." And she says, "What?" And I said, "Listen, I just had this sighting the night before." And I tell her a little bit about it. She goes, "Stop right there. Go for it." And this was Dave on everything that I love. I thought that by going on coast and telling the world about this event was going to be mainstream. It doesn't get any more than mainstream than me hosting Coast on a Friday night, right? That's a big audience, man. It's a big audience. And everybody is listening. And that includes, MSNBC and CNN and ABC, CBS, BBC, you name it, right? I'll even throw in the CBC. Okay? All right. Now, so I go on Coast. I tell the whole story. And then I go to open lines. And what I expected was to hear from the mainstream media the next day going, "Okay, what happened? Let's talk about this." And crickets. Yeah. Nothing. And I said to myself, I know my calling now. Yeah. If I can't go and support the community in this fashion, because those 100 or 200 people that saw this craft that night, they need to be able to go and tell their friends and family about the experience, and also say, "You know what? And Jimmy Church was there. Jimmy Church went on Coast to Coast. Go and listen. He will back up everything that I am telling you. He was there. And that was the most important thing. This community needed a voice, Dave. And here's the other part. That night, I literally said to myself, what if Anderson Cooper was out here, right? Yeah. What if Wolf Blitzer was out here? Would they in turn go on CNN, or, would Tucker go on Fox if he was here the next day and tell the world about their experience? Well, you know what? The answer is no. They would not. And that's the problem. So I have chosen to do what I'm doing now because of all of that and my firsthand experience with this. And it made me angry. I was not cool with it. And I've never looked back. I don't care if I'm the green chrome balls guy, right? I don't care. Throw that label on me. But those 200 people that were with me, that night, they get that support. And I will always put the community first. And that's it. That's my bliss. And I'm okay with it.
And, I had a similar situation, not as many people. There were 4 of us standing in our patio, and we were all having some beers and had a little fire going in my fire pit. And we watched this orb at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And it was the size of a VW bug, this orb, come slowly following the Fraser River in where I lived in Mission, British Columbia back then. And then it got over to where in our town where there's a drag strip. It got over the drag strip. It did a 90-degree turn south towards the U.S. border, and then it did a 180-degree turn and then dropped right where there would be a lake. Like it dropped right into the lake. I called up my former radio station, and my buddy John, who I'd worked 7 years with, He answers the phone. He's an editor at that time. And I'm like, hey, John, it's Dave. And he's like, hey, man, how you doing? I said, you got any strange reports of strange lights out in Mission? He goes, no, what happened? So I told him what happened. And it's like, how much have you had to drink, Dave? I said, John, I don't drink. He goes, well, what are you smoking then? And I'm like, come on, buddy. I said, you know me better than this. I'm not going to phone you up with a bunch of BS. I started to get pissed off. And I said, I'm not going to waste my time and phone you with this BS. All I'm asking is, have you heard of anything? And he goes, nope, haven't heard anything. Got to run here, bud. I'm like, okay, I got you now. The big thing that I've noticed, Jim, and maybe you have too, having that media background, there's all these people out there with this conspiracy theory that the mainstream media is controlled by what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to say. And the editors have to follow those rules. And I don't know what it's like in the U.S. I can only speak for Canada here.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
So, it's not like that. What people have to realize is journalists out there don't know how to cover this story. They don't want to cover this story because they still have the image that the Nicole Sakaches, the Jimmy Churches, the Dave Scotts, and everybody in your audience and my audience is just a bunch of tinfoil hat, night shift gas station jockeys who have no dental plan and have never made more than minimum wage. They're not worried about the Dolans or the Bob McGuires or the Gary Nolans or the Avi Loebs. They're not worried about that. They don't want to look into that.
That's right. Well, you described Nicole pretty accurately there.
Yeah, I'm not true.
But let me say this. When I was in school and here in Los Angeles, going to school for broadcast and journalism, TV, radio, all that stuff, our teachers are all professionals in the industry. We're in Los Angeles, right? So everybody's here. And one of these instructors, cool dude, worked for CNN. And so whatever, we're talking about whatever. But I turned to him and I said, so what about, he was talking about news directors and how to present a story and, how to write, things up and we're working on articles and things. And I said, what if you had a story about UFOs? He just like looked at me and he said, well, what do you mean? I said, look, I'm talking about a sighting, a craft lands, things, and you've got video and you got photographs and things. That, what do you do then with your news director? And he goes, nothing. I said, what do you mean?
DreamCloud is a luxury hybrid mattress made with premium materials at half the price. Every DreamCloud comes with $399 in accessories, plus an additional $200 off a 365-night trial, a forever warranty, and free shipping. Go to DreamCloudSleep.com today.
Hey, Ray Magliozzi here. I'd like to carry more parts at my shop, but I just don't have the room. Every time I go in the back to get wiper blades, I trip over a dusty crate of Honda air filters, then bang my head on some GTO radiator hoses. eBay Motors never has that problem. They stock all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them, with everything from new headlights to vintage gear shifters. I can't imagine being able to stock 122 million parts. I mean, where would I get all those shelves? eBay Motors. Let's ride.
He goes, no, you're not going to take a story about UFOs to your news director. I said, well, why not? Because that's a career killer. I would never. No. UFOs are off limits. And I sat back. I swear, Dave, I was like, I know what I'm doing now. And if that's and he's absolutely right. It is the kiss of death. Traditionally in this world, only a few before where we are today were successful at it. And it's just a few. Of course, you have Art Bell and Coast to Coast. That's the first thing comes to mind. Before that, Long John Neville out of New York. Tell me somebody else. Bring me another name.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there are millions of sportscasters out there. There's millions of political. There's so many talking heads that are out there. But bring me. Right. It doesn't exist. So I totally get that. And it's just the way that it is. And I knew then that that's what I wanted to do. When I started. I got fairly lucky out of the gate. Art Bell decided to quit and his radio show, and I was able to go in and keep his seat warm on his network for a year and a half. And while that was going down, I got the opportunity to go over to Coast, and for a little bit there, for a few months, I think I did both shows at the same time. And then Fade to Black continued, and I continued on over at Coast for almost 7 years, and I was given that opportunity, and I did not want to ever let my foot off of the gas. There were too many things, not only my own personal experiences, but there were too many things that were going on at the same time, and I just felt that things were going to break. There are too many experiences out there. And I'll say this is not that long-winded, but let me close with this. Millions of people have seen things. And it's not a case of mass psychosis. It's not. And whether it's abduction or contact or sightings in the sky or whatever, it's not a large chunk of this earth that is crazy, because I have seen what I have seen, right? And that's it. That's the line in the sand right there for me. I know that I'm not crazy. And when I have a sighting with a bunch of people and we all see the same thing at the same time and we turn around, and like I said to you earlier, Dave, on Fade to Black, I am now the crazy dude. I'm the crazy person that is out there, and I'm okay with that. That's it, and that's where things are today. I know, and I feel that we're in a tangible area where I can feel this UFO subject out in front of us, where it is real, and things are about to break. It's about to take off. And I'm just glad that I'm here along with you and Nicole and everybody else in our community, that we can enjoy this ride together.
But the question is, what is that? We're all ready for the ride, man. We're all ready for it. Okay. But what is the ride we are going to take. Nicole and I have talked numerous times, both on the phone and mostly on the phone, about what narrative are they giving us? Okay, what narrative are they trying to hide from us? And I have said numerous times, and Nicole and I have discussed this, there is this UFOs, Pandora's box, Jimmy, that is sitting somewhere deep inside the Pentagon that holds some unreal secrets. And until they open up that Pandora's box for UFOs, there is no story out there. No matter how outlandish it is, there is no story out there that can be proven or disproven. Whether it's Eisenhower meeting with the aliens and trading humans for technology, to Bob Lazar and Area 51, to everything we are seeing today. Nothing is off the table. And as ufology, we need to reiterate and understand that we have to go back. We don't have a choice but to keep that pressure on with what is going on in the field. We can't let it go. There are no answers.
It's the onion is so multi-layered, and the answer to that is very, very complex, because we don't know what's going to break first and how that is going to be addressed, right? We simply don't know. Is it going to be something over the skies of Los Angeles or Vancouver, British Columbia? And now the government has to respond to that? Okay, it could be something like that and that dramatic. Could it be a document leak? Could Anonymous go and hack some computers at the Department of Defense? That's a possibility. Is there a lone wolf out there that has retrieved documents that the government knows about that is about to blow the lid off of this, and that is out of their control? Is it that? Is it our military itself? Or, probably even more significant and heavier, is it a guy like Avi Loeb? Is it the world of astrophysics, where life is going to be found and seen on a distant planet, a radio telescope picking up something that is headed towards our solar system, our star system, and that it is going to come from the world of science and not from the world of woo and not from the world of the military? Is it going to be something like that? And my answer to that is, it's probably going to be a little bit of everything at the same time, because the drip that we are getting today, again, I'm telling you, it's tangible, that it's warming up everybody for the big drop. And when that drop comes, that we're not alone in the universe, then we've got to figure out how we address it. Is it going to be from this moment forward, or is it contact happened in 1947 with Roswell? You know, and how those not only millions of questions, and probably one of the main ones is, if it's 1947 in Roswell, then how long have you known about free energy? And we've been paying for gas, and we've had starving people on this planet, and we could have applied all of this to farming and electricity and the heating of our schools, and you've been sitting on this technology. That's a complex thing. So will it be contact has happened now? Not in the past, right? That's opening up too big of a can of worms, and that it is going to be addressed now and moving on into the future. And that's why I think it may come from science to take the pressure off of the governments of the world and the fact that they've been sitting on this for so long.
Nicole, you got 3 minutes.
Oh, I don't even need 3 minutes, but I can say you know a lot, and I think the space travelers out there hear our back and forths a little bit, where, you know, this is why I'm in this convergence of science, technology, politics, spirituality, and how this moves not just Canada forward or the United States forward, but how does this truly move us together as, you know, beings of Earth? And I know, Dave, you like to read between the lines and your journalism, you know, use your journalistic skills all the time with this. But, you know, I often find ufology outside of ufology. You know, when you talk to experiencers, whether it's of UFOs or Jesus speaking to a Christian, you know, you can find these similarities. And I think that's really the narrative moving forward. What we all acknowledge in some way, shape, or form, like, oh, these things happen. Oh, you know, oh, you saw a UFO? My friend saw one 60 years ago. It's like become this accepted thing, you know, the consciousness aspects of ufology.
Well, let me
into the future, but just let me finish with this. So,
well, actually, Nicole, I'm going to get signed off of my network.
Oh, okay.
So let me sign out. I am going to just bang this out right now.
You go,
and then we'll pick up that thought because I literally have 90 seconds before we're all cut off. So,
all right. All right, we're going to wait for Jimmy to get done his show. Nicole, I apologize about that.
That's fine. No, I am not a good clock watcher. You know that.
I am a very good clock watcher, and I was getting a little, okay, something's going to wear out here, you know, because we know Jimmy has to say goodnight on his show on Fade to Black, but we're going to continue with Jimmy Church and Nicole Sakach. I want you to hold that thought because I think it's important.
I will. I made notes.
Good. Yeah. Good, because, you know, you're one of the brilliant minds out there when it comes to UFOs these days. And, you know, and I encourage anybody, whether you're a longtime listener or you are a first-time listener, you know, get to know Nicole Sakach. She is honestly, you know, she may not have the loudest mouth out there. She may not have the biggest YouTube channel, but the information and the aura in which she works is incredibly amazing. She is very talented, and you definitely want to be on that train with Nicole. So go sign up for her YouTube channel. Follow what she does. She doesn't put any BS out there. We are going to continue with Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Jimmy Church from Fade to Black, Nicole Sakach, researcher and author of UFOs. Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, we're good. Jimmy, anytime you want to come back, just let me know. He's just shutting down his end.
Well, here, I have a fun aside to the YouTube crowd because I saw him questioning or lighten up.
I'm gonna let you talk here for a minute. Because I have been sitting in this chair for over 3 hours. I'll be right back.
Stretch it out. So, okay, we had our laugh about my legs and everything, and I know the audience hears me joke all the time that I have Sasquatch, you know, legs, and it helps me in my Bigfoot hunting. Ha 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 ha. Well, so Jimmy brought up my legs now being in an infamous picture and us meeting Clifford Mahooty. Well, we were all at our conference in Laughlin, Nevada, and we were all sitting at the dinner table. You know, we can see people at different tables and you wave and nod. Well, I had just spoken with Clifford about an hour or 2 hours before our dinner, and he was telling me the most hilarious story about Giorgio T and these singing bulls. So we had a little moment, and then we see each other at dinner, and he starts to walk over to join our table, and I happen to turn around at the same time. And my legs hit Clifford Mahooty, and he kind of stumbled down onto the floor and had to be helped up. And then we took that picture. So it's kind of like my legs knocked out Clifford Mahooty, you know. So we had a good laugh. But yes, he's with us in spirit now. And like the saying, I think, is that he now knows all. And so I'm sure he's laughing with us in this moment. And for any super fans that follow along, I will find a way to maybe share that picture if it's not around already. It might be, but it was a good one and a good memory. And, another great way to get to know people at a conference. Just, take them out at the knees and then they're forced to talk to you. So there you go, YouTube. That's why my legs are more famous than they were before. And I do know some interesting facts about Jimmy and about Dave that they don't know about each other. So this might be fun.
Jimmy, are you back or are you still shutting down? Okay, cool.
Okay, now I'll be right back.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. And we welcome in all the Fadernauts into Spaced Out Radio tonight. And this is a special show, first time ever that Jimmy Church and myself have simulcasted. And I can't believe we barely had any glitches whatsoever. Barely any.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I just jumped into the chat room and said hello to everybody. And so now I can kind of think Fade to Black is over. I can kick back and just hang out with Dave Scott let Dave run the show.
Hey, dude, we got to get you up here to British Columbia sometime. Take you out looking for some Sasquatch up here.
Man, let me tell you something. I love BC, and I've spent so much time up there. The Pan Pacific Hotel, right in Vancouver. There. Oh man, and dude, I've been to Kelowna.
Yeah, my daughter lives just south of there in Penticton.
Yeah, how many people from the United States, paranormal radio show hosts, have dropped Kelowna on you? Not many.
One. Yeah. Bob McGuire, believe it or not, because one of his college buddies was actually from Kelowna. And during one of their, while they were going to school, during one of the off semesters or during the summer, they actually went up and partied at Okanagan Lake, where there's Ogopogo running around and a lot of UFO activity up there too.
You know what Bob McGuire did to me? I wonder if he's in the chat room. So Bob, I'm going to guess and say maybe about a year, maybe 2 years, would call into Fade to Black as Bob from Alabama. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it was, right? Okay. So I don't, he's just Bob from Alabama. We would have these amazing conversations. And then one day off of the air, he goes, dude, it's me, Bob McGuire. I'm Bob from Alabama. I was like, dude, what? And he was so under the radar. And I think, I don't know if I've ever disclosed that. I just did that on Spaced Out Radio.
That's
I don't think I've ever told that story on the air. Yeah, that's a true story.
I always like to bug my listeners, man. Like you were saying that, you haven't eaten dinner yet. At least you got a Taco Bell within driving range, man. I got to go 2 hours. 2 hours south in order to get to a Taco Bell here. It's terrible.
Oh,
it's terrible.
Oh, man.
I know.
No, that ain't right.
No, it's not right. It's not right. But I'll tell you, we get you up here to where I am for a weekend, man, and we'll take you out looking for some Sasquatch, and there's a lot of UFO activity, a lot of hauntings around here. We really got the trifecta up here, the Caribou region of British Columbia, and it's pretty insane what we got. We got about 5 seconds, guys. Thank you to all the super chatters. Thank you to all the veterans tuning in. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Morosis. Morosis is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, as well as on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight. UFOs for another hour here. We have Jimmy Church from Fade to Black. We just finished up a simulcast between both our shows, and joining us as well, Nicole Sakach, researcher and author with Grant Cameron and her own amazing work. Jimmy, Nicole, welcome back.
Right on. Right on. So Bob I guess Bob was listening. Or did Bob just join us?
Well, you never know. Sometimes he's been known to fall asleep for like these 15-minute periods. And Science Bob we're talking about here. And then he fades out, he fades back in, and boom. Next thing you know, there he is, with a smack of a chat right there.
You know what? He's probably dozing out and then just started shaking.
You can feel it.
Man, something weird is going on, man. I think somebody's talking about me.
Come on. Sharon just slapped him and said, Bob, they said your name.
Yeah, more than likely. I'm telling you, he ran under the radar for a long time and was just stirring up trouble on Fade to Black with the right questions. And I had no clue. It was funny. The old saying, right? Hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. And I just took it. I took it.
You want me to tell you a weird
right under our noses for a long time.
Jimmy, let me tell you a weird Science Bob story. All right.
Yeah.
A few months ago, going back maybe about a year now, I go to bed at night after the show, and I have this weird dream. That it's a rainy, dreary night, and we're at this hotel, and everything's dark and black, and it's a UFO conference going on. And Bob is there, and a couple other people that I recognize are there. And next thing I know, Bob and I are being chased by alien grays. All right? So I woke up the next morning, and my body is feeling like I didn't sleep a wink. It felt like I had been taken, all right, by everything that other people account about being taken.
There's only one place to find the most recognized brand in carpet, Stainmaster, and that's at Lowe's. Right now, get free basic installation with the purchase of Stainmaster carpet and pad, $4.99 or more. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Install available in-store only. Requires non-refundable site assessment fee. Fee is credited to final project price if bought through Lowe's. More charges may apply. Not available in all areas. See Lowe's.com for details, exclusions, and licensure. Valid 2/19 through 4/13. U.S. only.
Family. It looks a little different for everyone. For some, it's mom and dad. For others, roommates who feel like family. And for others, it's your significant other, their golfing buddies, your children, a high school soccer team starting lineup, and oh look, they're all taking you up on the offer to stay for dinner, really testing the limits of that phrase, the more the merrier. But no matter where you call home, Geico makes it easy to bundle and save on home and car insurance. Easier than making 3 frozen pizzas and assorted frozen veggies into a cohesive meal.
So it's about 8:45 in the morning my time. I get up, I'm getting ready for work, I'm warming up my vehicle, and I call up Bob down in Alabama, and I say, Science Bob, how did you sleep last night? And he goes, I was tossing and turning all night long. And he goes, my wife Sharon actually thought we had people or somebody breaking into our house because she could hear like footsteps downstairs, and she was checking it all out, and that happened a couple of times. He goes, why do you ask? So I told him what happened, and he's like, are you kidding me? He goes, that is weird. He gets a hold of me about 6-7 hours later. he checks his Fitbit during that time because my story had kind of bugged him. And he calls me up and he goes, would you believe that my Fitbit had me wide awake for 90 minutes in the middle of the night?
That would freak me out.
Yeah.
That would freak me out.
Yeah. So
that would freak me out.
So here I am claiming that I had this weird dream that him and I were being chased by aliens. I'm thinking I got taken. Okay? And Bob, who is Mr. Scientist, don't give me this woo crap, okay, finds out on his Fitbit that he was awake for 90 minutes that he has no recollection of. And we have actually put that question out there, Jimmy, and I ask you to ask your audience this exact same question. How many abductees are wearing Fitbits? Because I guarantee you, and I'm not a scientist, I'm just putting a theory out there, that the Fitbit has the ability to record alien abductions.
Look, do you really want to know? That's the first thing. Do you really want to know? That's point number one. Point number two, that's the reason not to get a Fitbit.
True.
Do you honestly really want to know? Now, Fitbit and other smart watches, that are monitoring these things, they have a lot of data points that they're collecting. Altitude, heart rate, right? Footsteps, right? Now, do you want to know that you did 9,000 steps at 60,000 feet, right? Do you want to know that you were walking around a giant mothership running from aliens, in a stainless steel hallway in suborbital Earth for 90 minutes? Do you really want to know this? I'm just putting that out there. This goes back to one of the things that I've said a lot over the years. Do I want to be regressed? Do I want to go back to a specific time and place where something weird went down in my life? And do I want to find out? My answer is no. I'm okay with the frightening experience as it sits where my memory is. Do I want to know the other stuff? I know that some people want to have answers and they want to go and do that. That's fine. That's why God invented vanilla and chocolate ice cream, right? To give us choices, right? Okay. For me personally, I don't want to know. I just don't want to find out. I'm going to share this with you.
All right.
Share this with you. I've told this story before, and many have heard it. But there's another part to this story that I've never really discussed, which has to do with what we're talking about right now. The short version of the story is I was driving in Indianapolis by myself. I was driving down this road in my neighborhood where I grew up, and everything is fine. Driving down, and I see this house for rent. Okay? I was living in an apartment in Indianapolis at the time. I had moved out of my parents' house. I see this house for rent, and I see as I'm driving past the for rent sign, but I see an in-ground pool in the front yard. And I whippy-yoo-wee. I'm like, oh, party pad. Summer party pad for me and my friends. U-turn. I drive back to the house. I jump out of the car, look at the pool. It's small. The house is small. It's white. And next to, there's a fence, chain link fence. On the other side of the fence is like 8 gravestones, like a little family plot. And I look at the family plot. I look at the in-ground pool. I look at the house. I'm like, dead bodies don't matter. House is too cool. This is awesome. So I call my friends. And I said, man, I found this house for rent. So I go and I pick up my friends. This is the short version of the story. And I'm driving. I'm telling them about, dude, man, little house, man, so in-ground pool, man, party, man, it's going to be great. House is gone.
What?
We drive back, and the house is gone.
No.
And I'm telling my friends, look, man, look, I'm telling you, it was right here. And, they're in the back. They're like, oh, man, church, man, and we're driving. There's only so many streets in our neighborhood, right? I'm like, what the hell? So, Dave.
Yeah.
Do I want to know the truth about that story?
Oh.
Do I want to be regressed? Do I really want, or am I okay with the house just friggin' disappeared? Or am I okay with it was a bad dream? Or am I okay with I drove through a time vortex? Mm-hmm. Am I okay with I don't care? Mm-hmm. I don't care. Do I want to be regressed to the experience of me looking through the window and I got the graveyard, and the thing and the real truth behind this? Do I want? Not really. I don't know if I want to know the truth. I don't know.
I want Nicole to tell her amazing UFO story because I don't think you've heard it. But before we do that, you obviously are good friends with David Weatherly as well.
Who, me?
Yes.
I've had him on the show. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's great.
So a few months ago, about 6-7 months ago, David used to come on once every couple of months to kind of talk about all the weird things. And for some reason, I get intimidated by him because he's just so knowledgeable. And I'm looking on Instagram and I see this post come up, Jimmy, that says, Sea Serpents of the Great Lakes by David Weatherly. I see the cover, the Sam Sheeran cover on it, and it's on David's Eerie Lights Instagram page. So I call up Dave before the show and I'm like, hey man, excited to have you on. We're going to talk about your brand new book, Sea Serpents of the Great Lakes. I've been waiting to do a show like this. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, that is a great topic, but we got a problem. I said, what? He goes, I haven't written that book.
Oh.
And I'm like, what do you mean? It was just on your Instagram a couple of hours ago. And he's like, no, man, I have not written that book. He goes, it sounds like one I should write, but I have not. I said, Dave, I saw the Sam Sheeran cover that you use. I saw your name by David Weatherly underneath. He goes, no, man, there's no record. I go back to his Instagram page and it is gone. Nothing there. Like
now, do you want to know? Do you want to know the truth about that?
Hell
really?
Yeah! Hell yeah!
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
man.
Because remember when I was talking about Pascal earlier? That's the type of crap that I gotta try and figure out. With Pascal, he just laughs at me. But you got to hear Nicole's story of about a year ago about this UFO contact that she had. This is where it gets trippy, man.
Well, if Jimmy paid attention to my lecture at MegaCon, he probably heard my story.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this throw Jimmy under the bus?
No. I'm sure you bought my DVD.
But I did introduce you. It was a good introduction, though, wasn't it?
It was. Absolutely. It was the greatest introduction at the conference, I'm more than sure. Other than you getting Lou Elizondo on the phone during
that really happened.
Panel. Yeah, I know.
Really happened.
That was great.
We'll come back. We'll tell Dave that story. He doesn't know what we're talking about. But no, this UFO contact.
This will be my bridge that I'll say. Like, there was 25 years between my first sighting and my second sighting. And I was thrown into this secretive, like, nuts and bolts search of what could this be. And then it was, learning everything that I could, and reading and watching shows like yours and both of yours, and learning people in the field. And then you hit a point where you start researching researchers. So that's always fun. And you start connecting your own dots and taking your theories to other people. But then this emergence of the paranormal and ufology kept smacking me like, how are people merging this? Why are we lumping it under the same umbrella? And it really was focusing on that experiences from my life, the crazy Ouija board experience that made me move to Chicago, which put me in the right place at the right time, yada, yada, things like that. But it was really the out-of-body experience that I had, and recognizing that in ufology that started making things click. And one of my first heroes was Jim Peniston, and realizing how long he had spoken out and continued to speak out. And I saw that as kind of like inspiring. And it was kind of my time to really sort out what everybody kind of blew off. You know, how can you blow off seeing UFOs, having paranormal experiences as just everything? Oh, these things happen. And still, after all these years, nobody has solid answers to give anybody. So like you guys, I was on the mission at that point, maybe to bring it to the Midwest. How can these things like relate to corn country in a way that doesn't blow people off, make people blow it off? When everybody has a story of their own, we can find the common ground. And that kicks me to the future of our field and what I was saying before. And I'm going to have to pause there, guys, because my power's about to go down. So I got to get a power cord.
Oh, nice. Great timing. Great
But
timing.
I want to talk about the future of physics in 2060.
But I want your story, though, with the rocks, man.
Oh, the apport.
Yes. And there she goes.
Hey, God.
She straight out bailed.
Yeah.
Before we hit the break,
we got 6 minutes.
Talking about physics for a second, and she brought up Lou Elizondo and this phone call. And this has happened to me with Lou a few times. But so I'm hosting this panel, Dave.
Yes.
And I can't remember who was on the panel, but I know Danny Sheehan was on the panel, who is Lou's attorney. And everybody on the panel, there's Richard Dolan was on the panel for sure. I think Richard Doty was on the panel. And there was a fourth. Anyway, so everybody's going, Lou. And talking about Elizondo. And I said, it's just all Lou tonight, huh? Lou. You know, and as I said that, my phone's red. It's Lou Elizondo, right? And I showed it to the audience. I said, do I pick up this phone call? And everybody was yelling, yes. So I just said, and I answered. I said, Lou, you're interrupting my panel. Put him on speakerphone. And now that goes back to physics and the universe, right? Is this weirdness part of what physics is talking about? Entanglement and locality, non-locality, and everything being connected, and energies, and at the quantum level out to the macro and the universal level. Well, why would that have happened at that moment? And then yesterday, this is the truth. I'm on the phone. It was yesterday or the day before. I'm on the phone with Jazz Shaw.
Yeah.
And Jazz and I are talking, and Lou comes up. And I said, yeah, absolutely. He had just written this article about Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo and things, and we were talking about that. At that moment, Lou calls. And I said, oh, Jazz, you're not going to believe this, man. Lou's calling. I said, hang on for a second. And I just answered, I merged the calls. Nice. I said, Jazz, say hi to Lou. Jazz was like, what? And Lou's like, hey, Jazz, what's going on? And so we talked for like 10 seconds, and I said, Lou, I'll call you back. But I went back to Jazz. I go, how weird is that? And he goes, man, that was it's like, that's the universe that we can't ignore when things like that happen, it's fun in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
But let's step back and go, why is that happening? Why does this stuff occur? It's fun, but there are people out there that ignore it, right? That they're driving to work every day going, man, there's nothing else to life but me going to work and coming home and watching TV, having dinner, and going to bed. Yeah. They don't think about the other part of life. The possibility, the pondering of the things out there that are right in front of them that happen all the time, synchronicities and coincidences, and that they are happening for a reason. So take a moment, everybody, and question why. There is something else going on out there, and life is not this 2D existence that you put yourself in.
That's very true. All right, Nicole, your story.
And
we got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes, and then we'll carry it over.
That was the biggest difference between my first sighting and my one 25 years later. My first one, whatever the magic of it happening, it happened, and it sent me on this quest. And I was for sure I would see another one, and I didn't. And I read all the books. I learned the history. I did what I could. And it wasn't until I took that leap of faith. And Dave, you saw me that my first appearances on your show, I was with my khaki pant wearing co-partner in this, William Poland. And he was the nuts and bolts, and I was supposed to be the experiencer. But, I barely had my woo pants on, and I just had to. I had to put my woo pants on and dive in with both feet. I had to find out why Pleiadians, were Pleiadians. I had to discover those rabbit holes for myself. And that's what I started doing. I started practicing like my own versions of CE5 and Heist. And the next thing I know, like my usual sky watching crew is reporting in a UFO that I had felt coming in for a week. And I had started working with Grant by this point, and he was encouraging me in certain things like meditations, like shutting down your left brain inhibitor and going with that right creative side. And, for people in the surrounding towns to start calling me, and they're like, something's in the sky. And I just knew it. I went to my spot where I had seen the first one, and there it was. And Jimmy, my spot is this giant rock pile out in the middle of the country where our county keeps road rock for oiling and stuff like that. So I'm laughing at this thing. I'm like, here it is. It's popping in and out of the sky. The first thing I do is when I get my composure is I go to Facebook Live. And I got it for 4.5 minutes on Facebook Live. And my friends in 2 other towns were sharing their pictures. And I get home. My dog's freaked out. And there's a pile of rocks sitting on my desk where I research.
Can I do the out fade here?
Sure.
Can I do it?
You can do it.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott and Nicole Sakach. We'll be right back.
Yes, Jimmy Church, the man, the myth, the fader, not legend, continues with us here on Spaced Out Radio. We got him for another half an hour right after this. We're at break here, but I'm not going to lie. This has been fucking awesome. It really has. It has.
So much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, man.
So much fun. So much fun. So much fun. And I just want to know, Nicole, since we're in break, are the woo pants absorbent?
When
I put my woo pants on, I usually pee just a little bit. And
my woo pants are made from the latest in metamaterials.
Oh shit!
Oh man! Oh man! So much fun! So much fun tonight. And so we've got one segment left.
Yeah. Jimmy, I'm going to put out I know it's a little bit late here, okay? But I'm going to put it out to you. April 22nd to 24th, we are having a Las Vegas Spaced Out Radio party, get together with our fans at the Golden Nugget. If you want to come join us, or any of your fans want to come join in and just have a party weekend of woo, we're going to be doing a live YouTube show. I've rented a conference room there. I got Bob McGuire coming, Michael Schratt, Jim Goodall, a number of other people coming. And if you want to, Nicole's coming, and a bunch of Bigfoot people are coming. And we're all just kind of going to hang out and get together and share a beer together and some dinner and just talk about the weird stuff for a weekend. And if you want to join us, you're more than welcome, man.
I'll only do it if Karen Dahlman is there.
I'm trying.
Karen Dahlman shows up, man. It's the party is on.
Well,
it's
she's
official.
dangerous. She's got that dangerous.
DreamCloud is a luxury hybrid mattress made with premium materials at half the price. Every DreamCloud comes with $399 in accessories, plus an additional $200 off a 365-night trial, a forever warranty, and free shipping. Go to DreamCloudSleep.com today.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You have no idea, but maybe you do.
I have all sorts of plans planned. I'm doing the whole mailbox.
I have it here, April 22nd through the 24th at the Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is our first time. We're just throwing it together. The only thing that we are charging for is like $25 for the live show. That's it. The rest of it, it's all about hanging out, having a good time, and talking woo. And for some people, if you rent a car, there may be a trip on the Sunday out to Area 51.
Oh.
I want my picture with that sign, man.
Man.
I don't have that photo.
Why don't we both just get arrested?
Because then I can't get back into your country. That's not
right. Man, one of the craziest moments I've ever had in my life was at Canadian Customs in Victoria.
Yeah.
They almost didn't let me in the country, and then they put a man and a woman, 2 cops, plain clothes, shadowed me for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Did you catch the ferry over from Seattle? Is that how?
I did. I did. No, we did it from Port Angela. did the jet ferry, jet thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Man. True story.
Very cool.
Gestapo. I'm just telling you right now. You remember in the video with Pink Floyd for The Wall?
Yeah.
And the big desk and the dudes at the top yelling down? That's what happened in Victoria, man. I was looking up spotlights. It was crazy.
Yeah. I remember the only time I've been scared crossing the border was back way before you needed passports and everything. I was like 17. And up here in Canada, we can't buy bottle rockets. And it's Halloween, and my buddy and I, we want some bottle rockets. So we cross the border in the U.S. to go and try and get some. We get to customs, the guys like, 2 17-year-old kids. Yeah, what are you guys doing across the border? We have dates. Well, who do you have dates with? Well, we met these girls down in Bellingham last weekend, and we decided we were going to try and, take them out for dinner. Oh, okay. Well, what's their names? Where do they live? And we're like, finally, the guy had us so flustered, he just got fed up and let us go. We ripped apart my buddy's dashboard, filled it with bottle rockets in his old 1984 Chevy Chevette 4-door brown, poo-colored car, And we made it across the Canadian border, and they're like, how long are you down for? Like 2 hours? What were you down for? We were on dates with some girls out of Bellingham. Oh, okay, you guys have a good night? Yeah, we're good. And we blazed on through. We probably had like $200 worth of bottle rockets that we were going to blow off. And, at that age, at like 17, man, that was scary stuff, man.
I don't know if statute of limitations expires on explosive devices.
I don't know.
Being smuggled across the border. I'm just letting you know.
I don't know. We'll find out if I can't get down there very soon. Hold on, guys. We're going to start the part of the show now. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you all with us. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate you tuning us on in. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Fade to Black's Jimmy Church is with us. Nicole Sakach is with us. We're talking UFOs, strange stories all night long here, and what a night. I started with Jimmy Church on his show, Fade to Black, at about 7:30 Pacific. I have not moved except for once in the last 3.5, 4 hours here. So, you know what? It's a power night of radio, and I'm absolutely loving it. Jimmy, Nicole, welcome back.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, it's great. When I grow up, I want to have Dave Scott's voice.
No way, man.
I'll know I have arrived.
You got the pipes of a god. The pipes of a god.
I need a radio voice. Competing with the two of you, I need a radio voice. Do I go higher or lower? I don't know.
I'm studying how it's done. Studying Dave Scott.
Hey, that's awesome. That's from all the hockey. True story. Before I get to Nicole and finish up her story, Jimmy, after year number 1 of broadcast school, I get hauled into the assistant directors or the assistant whatever they call it, dean's office. Guy named Bill hauls me in, and he's like, "I don't know if you're going to make it." I said, "Why?" He goes, "'Cause you can't breathe out of your nose." I said, "What do you mean I can't breathe out of my nose?" And he goes, "You played hockey, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "How many fights you get in?" And I said, "A number." He goes, "You ever break your nose in a fight?" I said, "Yeah, of course, it's hockey." Right? And he goes, "Get nose surgery or don't come back." That off season, I quit playing hockey. I went and got nose surgery, the old rhinoplasty. And it was I'm injury prone, and I've done a lot of body problems, man. Okay, I will never ever in my life get nose surgery again. And I ended up. I remember when I got the surgery, I called him up, sent him an email actually, and I said, "Hey, just had nose surgery," and he's like, "We'll see you for the next semester."
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. And check this out. I can almost match that. Talk about the air out of my sails, right? The wind out of my sails. So I'm in school, and I'm ready. I think that I'm ready, and graduating. I'm just going to go and tear up the radio world, and I go and I get an internship. I'm not going to say who, but I ended up working for this radio station later. I'm applying for an internship. And I said, "No, I'm not." And this is what they told me. It's a major broadcast network. 2 years. I said, "What do you mean? You're going to intern for 2 years. And then maybe you'll get a crack at airtime." I said, No. That's not working for me. No. I'm ready right now. No, you're not. No, you're not. And here's the thing. As much as I was crushed, they were absolutely 100% right.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand. I didn't want to understand.
Yeah.
I didn't. And this is the thing. You need to fall. You need to stumble. You need to really suck. You need to do all of that to know how to improve and how to find yourself and how to find your soul. And, and the person that I am, on the air now, no, I wasn't that person 15 years ago.
No.
And I was trying to be somebody else. And you need to go out there and really suck really bad so you can listen to yourself and realize how not to do it.
Oh, yeah.
How not to sound. And I am serious. I remember driving around for a couple of weeks after that, and those words reverberating 2 years. You need to intern for 2 years. Right?
Oh my God. I interned at a 6 weeks in Kelowna, British Columbia at CKOV 630 on the AM dial. I call them up. Hey, do you guys want to add Spaced Out Radio? I interned with you at 98. Who? What? Yeah, no. Nicole, you got to finish your story about
The Rock.
You're at the gravel pit.
So that's my sighting location, and over the 25 years, I always went there to skywatch. So the town west of me and the town south of me, all of my pals start reporting in. They're like, something's in the sky. What is in the sky? There's a thing that looks like a balloon, but it doesn't look like a balloon in the sky. And it's on. I'm out the door. I'm driving like a bat out of hell. I get to my rock piles and nothing. I don't see anything. And I'm all like, why? Where are you at? I've felt this all week. I keep coming out here every day. I'm doing Grant Cameron's left brain, right brain stuff. I'm meditating. And just when I'm packing in my cameras, I throw everything in the car. I look straight up above me, and that's where it is. It's there directly above me. And it's just hanging there. It looked like a white, clearish teardrop in the sky. And I had a moment. I had to sit, and I was snapped out of it. I was like, woohoo, it's here. I flipped up my phone. I went to Facebook Live, and I also turned on my vehicle because I was getting ready to leave. And this Dave Matthews song starts blaring, and this thing starts doing the pop in, pop out, pop in, pop out. And my friends start joining in Facebook Live, and they're like, yeah, that's what I saw. That's what was above this town. And it was just so exciting. And poof, it was gone. So I jump back in my car. I go to check out another spot in town because it's really high located, and I thought I could see it if it popped back in. And I waited and waited, and then I decided to go home. And I usually take my dog out with these things. So when I go to spend out, time sky watching. So I expected my dog to be at the door. He wasn't at the door. I walk in, I drop my stuff, and he's cowering upstairs, under my bed. And I walk across the hall, and there's just a huge puddle, and he's terrified. So I finally coax him out, and I get him to come downstairs. And that's when I look at my research desk, and I sat down to take off a shoe, and right in front of my face is this little tiny pile of rocks. There's probably 12 of them. Just in a perfect pile. And of course, I'm already on the phone with Grant and with Dave at this time. I'm like, you guys aren't going to believe this. Grant's like, Facebook history, Facebook Live. And I'm telling him about this pile of rocks. And then that's when it clicked. Grant was like, you've had an apport. This is an apport. that's when it clicked with me. I had been scoffing at these apport research that Grant had been doing, like scoffing in my head, like, I'm not really buying into this. This doesn't happen. And then I go back and I check like my journals and notebooks that I keep. Like Grant did a show about feather apports and I scoffed at it, and feathers showed up in my kitchen, like blew in my back door. And I was like, psh, doesn't happen. Reached in my chef coat pocket to pull out a pin, and I pull out a feather, you know. So along with the rocks, I noted in my journal, like I was at work and we have these metal sinks and I'm there alone a lot, and tink, tink, look in the sink and there's a rock. So it was all building up to this sighting for a few weeks. And when it dawned on me that maybe this heist and CE5 that I was dabbling in might be coming into play, that has really made me take a serious step back from this, you know, and really reassess my woo situation. And it's an adventure all at once. You know, do you keep forging forward? Like you guys were saying, do you want to know? Would you do hypnosis to find out more? Well, I'm more along the lines of this is unfolding as it needs to. And we hear it and it sounds so cliche, but you're given what you can handle. And based off what you go through in life, that becomes more and more or less and less. And I think you have to want to discover those things about you. And for some reason, that plays into this phenomenon. Like I was searching for something out there and I'm finding something in here, which brings us to the future of this and what we dive into. And the most interesting players in our field, like Jacques Vallée, are postulating this in our near future. He gives this lecture, I believe it's a TED Talk, people can look it up, has nothing to do with ufology, and he's talking about the future of physics in 2060. And everybody needs to watch it because he is talking about all the elements of ufology that is pushing the borders of science and physics. It's what we're witnessing as experiencers that this other community out there needs to pay attention to. And I know the work we're doing right now seems so important, but it's really important for the future, not for us right now. We already kind of know what's going on and what's happening and what's to come. We just don't know how to explain it yet. And I think that's going to be the new narrative going forward that the mainstream media should pay attention to. It's this new renaissance that's going to happen. And ufology is at the core of it. So I'm excited.
Jimmy, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, all of that is spot on. The only part that if I was going to expand on this, because when it comes to science and physics, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I read too much and I study too much of this. But the one consistent thing that I think is out there and is obvious is that when we look at what the world of astrophysics, theoretical physics, physics in general, is trying to prove and is trying to get the world to understand is that there is a multiverse, that there is 11 dimensions, that there is a parallel world situation. Quantum physics and quantum computing and qubits can only operate with entanglement, and a qubit is connected to another qubit to help the calculations happen that is in a parallel world. That's it. And they don't understand how it works, but they're trying to tell us that that's how quantum computing works. Well, wait a minute here. If we are to understand what these theoretical physics, quantum physics, and physics in general is trying to have us understand, is what everything in the woo community has been talking about for a very long time. And once this stuff starts to not only get talked about, but gets measured. Once it gets measured, and that's the whole world of physics, right, is measurement. Once it gets measured, all bets are off. Now, we take it one step further. And this is not in 2060, and I agree with Jacques, but no, it's not 2060. It's 2022, which is right now in our Milky Way, not the universe. We have 40 billion Earth-like rocky planets in the Goldilocks zone. 25 years ago, 1997, there were none. So we have been going out our entire lives, generations, tens of thousands of years. Humans have gone out, looked at the stars and said, wow, I wonder if there's anybody else out there like us, right? That's the question. And up until now, modern times, we didn't know if there were any planets outside of our solar system. Now we know that every star that we look at has at least one. Every star. Mm-hmm. So now you go out in your backyard and you look up, you don't have to wonder if there's another planet. What you have to wonder about is if there is some dude or dudette looking back at us saying, I wonder how many planets are out there. I wonder if there's anybody. That is where we are today with physics. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And we are so close. Now, this is the other part. I'm going to close with this. And what an extraordinary show tonight. That realm above us, the 5,000 planets that you can see right in your backyard, 2,000 of those planets are within 100 light years of Earth. 1,000 of those, half of them, are 50 light years away. We have been broadcasting radio waves at the speed of light since around 1890, 1900. So that's 120 years. We've been beaming out there. So now in 2022 is when we can expect a reply. 50 light years up, 50 light years back is 100 years. And so when we're talking about will disclosure happen, and I saw the question, is it now? You know what? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. We are going to get a reply back, and we can expect it anytime. The question is it going to be Avi Loeb? Is it going to be a university somewhere running a radio telescope that is going to be able to speak to the world and say, hey, we got a reply?
What if it already happened?
I got a guest for you both who gets radio transmission reply.
There's only one place to find the most recognized brand in carpet, Stainmaster, and that's at Lowe's. Right now, get free basic installation with the purchase of Stainmaster carpet and pad, $4.99 or more. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Install available in-store only. Requires non-refundable site assessment fee. Fee is credited to final project price if bought through Lowe's. More charges may apply. Not available in all areas. See Lowe's.com for details, exclusions, and licensure. Valid 2/19 through 4/13. U.S. only.
Family. It looks a little different for everyone. For some, it's mom and dad. For others, roommates who feel like family. And for others, it's your significant other, their golfing buddies, your children, a high school soccer team starting lineup, and oh look, they're all taking you up on the offer to stay for dinner, really testing the limits of that phrase, the more the merrier. But no matter where you call home, Geico makes it easy to bundle and save on home and car insurance. Easier than making 3 frozen pizzas and assorted frozen veggies into a cohesive meal.
I'll talk to you guys later. But yes.
What if it already happened, though?
I've already released interviews, and so is Grant. Like, it's so amazing in this world of transmissions.
What was that, Dave?
What if it already happened? And hear me out for a second here, because there was no reason, Jimmy, for the To the Stars Academy. There was no reason for this entire last almost 5 years. It just came out of nowhere. And I remember I've talked to some people very high up. You know the same people, but certain conversations you have to keep who you're talking to private. And I asked them, I said, why now? What is the importance of now? And they said, what if we've already been contacted and been given a date? And if you look at the last 4.5 years of news that we have had in the UFO field, there is no reason for it to explode the way it is. We've had 70 years of cover-ups. There's no reason for it to continue unless something happened. Either Stephen Greer is right and there's going to be an alien false flag, which I doubt, or the likes of Elizondo and Sean Cahill and Chris Mellon and the entire crew are out there right now preparing for a date that has already been set, because there was never any reason for this to come out in 2017 right through today at 2022. The cover-up was all on. So I think for the last year, we've been sitting on a date. We have been contacted. And look, Elizondo, Cahill, whoever, they may call me a fool for saying this. I'm okay with that. But there still is no reason as to why now. It's the most important question that any of us can ask.
It reminds me of Arthur C. Clarke and the Rama series of books. And if you go and the Garden of Rama, Rendezvous with Rama, go and read the series of books. And this is the way, and Arthur C. Clarke's never been wrong, by the way. Right? Never been wrong. He writes, and this is the scenario that he presents, that we pick up an object approaching our solar system, and it's slowing down. Okay? It doesn't happen in nature. So this object is slowing down, and then through some computations, they now have a date. They have a date, and that they know that it is headed to Earth, and they know what's going on. Now, at the speed of light, an object like that is going to take a long time to hit the brakes. You're not going to fly in the solar system at the speed of light and stop at Earth. No, it's going to take a couple of years. And this is the way it's presented in the Rendezvous with Rama book. So much so that after a certain point, every country in the world is now monitoring this, and they know when it's going to get here. And they had to eventually disclose to the world, we've got, a 20-kilometer long cylindrical object that is about to arrive and park itself in orbit. And now we have to have this conversation. Now, is this where we are today? The way that Arthur C. Clarke writes about it, Dave, it just seems too, logical. That if it's going to play out, it's going to play out like that. So is there a power play here with the science and military and state actors where they have a date, that they are tracking something, that they know something, that there is a radio transmission, that there is something in play here, that they've got to get us up to speed so we don't freak out as a planet? And I'm just going to say, I totally agree with you. I've been talking about this for years, and I think that is one of the things, and I thank Arthur C. Clarke for this, that must be in play. It's like Occam's razor. It's like the simplest solution to this question, and it's the one that makes the most sense.
Nicole, you got 30 seconds. You got the final words.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about time travel and superhumans and loops and
but the good
jump rooms and portals.
The good part is, now that we know how to do it, we can do it again. I think we got to do this once a month. I think a once a month thing that we need to do this on a Monday and hang out and do this. Now that we've got it figured out, hey, it works. It works.
Awesome.
And
I'm in.
I think so. We'll talk about getting that done.
This must be how Ted Turner felt when CNN launched. I'm just telling you, this could happen. 24 hours of ufology news.
Now all we need is Sirius XM to come sign some big checks for Jimmy and I, and we'll get the ball rolling. Jimmy Church, Fade to Black. Nicole Sakach, researcher and author extraordinaire. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp with Swamp Dweller. Fedora John brings the UFO news. We got also Shirky Poo's news as well. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is next. Great show, guys.
Thank you guys
Great
so much.
Show. That was
Dave,
fun.
I'll circle back with you tomorrow. Nicole, keep causing trouble.
Always.
Go get something to eat, Jimmy.
I got more work to do. I'll see you guys.
Be in touch. Bye,
take care.
Jimmy. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
That was awesome, guys. Absolutely awesome. How fun was that? How fun was that? And thank you to all the Fadernauts coming on over from Jimmy's show and maybe checking out our show for the first time. And we really appreciate that. Thank you so much for hanging on out with us. I hope we did enough to get you to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. We'd appreciate it. I don't know if Nicole's going to stick around with us. She's more than welcome to do so, but how fun was that? And I you know what? I want all my audience too, by the way. If you haven't yet already, go over to Jimmy Church's channel, Fade to Black, hit subscribe on that channel, ring the bell. He's always there right before us. And you know what? That's the way we do things. That's how we grow a good community, is by helping each other out, having these conversations. And, of course, Nicole has her channel, Nicole Sakach, on YouTube, so make sure you go hit subscribe there as well. So, thank you. This has been a wonderful night I'm pumped still about this. I may not sleep tonight for a while. This was fun.
You know, maybe it has something to do with being Pi Day.
Maybe. You know, we didn't even plan that. It was just kind of like it happened. That's all it did. Is it just happened?
That's how the best things happen. They just come together, and you know, lightning in a bottle, that kind of stuff.
So for our new listeners, if you're sticking around, and I know a lot of you are going to leave because, you know, Jimmy's gone and everything, and that's cool too. That's cool too. But in hour 3, we do things a little bit differently. Jimmy starts off his show with a lot of news and reports that first half hour. We kind of take that into hour 3, and especially in the last half hour. So we start off, a good friend of ours, Swamp Dweller, who has a creepypasta channel here on YouTube. He comes in. He's got a spooky story. We're going to actually use one of ours. We have a brand new channel called Canada's Great Unknown, where we have a spooky story channel from spooky stories from around the provinces and territories. We're going to play one of those tonight. And then we are going to bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson to bring us the UFO report. And we're going to continue with some UFO talk. I think Nicole's going to stick around. I did see her grab another cup of coffee, so that's pretty much means she's going to be around. She's like, screw it, I'm going to do it. And, yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Nicole. Exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm always prepared, Dave.
That's how you roll. That's how you roll. I can't believe Big Willie's still up.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's
Sovcos, Sovereign Cosmic. Yes, I do talk about the only wearing one shoe often. I didn't meet it, or I didn't bring it up tonight. I was kind of, rushed a little bit and telling it in pieces. But yeah, I was wearing one. I had taken off one shoe when the port.
That's the only time I've ever heard you cry.
Oh, wow. It was such a whirlwind of emotions. Like when I first saw it, that's what I meant. It like took me to my knees when I realized it was above me. It was like that whole like profound, like, oh my God, is this really happening? And
yeah,
it was like joy and shock and awe all at once. And it's like I had to find my composure. And yeah, I kept getting waves of that all weekend long, actually. Like it was just amazing.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite stories. One of my favorite stories that I have ever heard regarding
it was the next night that was so strange too, like being called out, like all of the synchronicities that were in play again, like the 555 on the clock, and the same people the same people that got a hold of me the day before got a hold of me again the next day. I was like, Dave, it's on repeat. It's repeating. Like, what, do I go out? And I went out again. And that's when it was like the download time. It was like, because what I was like, part of my raising my vibration in heist was dancing. Like, and I'm like, I dance like an idiot. I don't have rhythm, or I have awkward rhythm. Well, and that was part of the download. It was like, it's time to dance. And it's like the goofiest songs would like pop on. And then it was like, if you dance, we'll light it up for you. And don't you remember, I was waiting and I was like, what is this? They're like, light it up. I kept getting this. We're going to light it up. Well, I had given up again that second night, and I was sitting in my car, and it was like, you've got to dance. And I got out, I danced one more time, sat back in my car, and when I looked ahead of me, like you said, along the tree line, that's when it was like, I thought I was seeing fireworks on the ground. And I mean, it was so far away from me, but it was just this light like erupting, and such a crazy weekend.
I want to say thank you to all our regulars. Thank you to all our new listeners, all the Fadernauts who are still hanging out. We're going to start hour 3 here. Thank you to all the super chatters and every veteran who has served out there. You always got a safe home here. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has hit the password for tonight on the SOR Space Travelers Club. Morosis. Morosis is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as a clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Now, normally we head out to the swamp, where Swamp Dweller's going to give us a story. But you know what? I got Nicole Sakach here. And right before John comes in with the UFO report, Nicole, let's just continue it. I'm just in a mood to continue to talk. I really am. I'm calling an audible here. Sorry, my buddy Swamp Dweller. I know I love you. I know that you guys have you have some incredible stories and I'll save this story for tomorrow night. I promise you I will. But we're going to continue on here because we still have a plethora of people hanging out with us. You just got a fresh cup of coffee. I'm still wired on iced tea here. Okay? Yes, sweetened, and Oh, you got M&Ms too. So, Nicole, I want to ask you this. Let's get into the why now feature of everything. Let's go for it. Let's get into the why now. What is your opinion on the reason, if you look back on the last 4.5 years, that the why now is still a question that seems to be being dodged by people?
I think because they don't know a good answer to the why now, when they get lost in it, And honestly, the why now, in my opinion, which is it's not spontaneous. This has been the diligent fortitude work of our community for the last 30 years. To me, this is like the culmination of a few people's work, like the Paradigm Research Group, Steve Bassett, Greer's work. This is what this movement has been pushing for the last 20 years. Whether there's other factions at play, alongside of it. But I really like, patting our community on the back for this. Like this is a lot of us. And I think we need to take credit for that.
One of the things that Lou Elizondo said, he did a pair of shows on Friday and Saturday on Thomas Fessler's Disclosure Tonight, and then Kurt J. Mungel's Theories of Everything on Saturday. And one of the things that Elizondo basically said is, ufology as a whole is not getting it. We aren't, and I'm paraphrasing here, so forgive me if I get it wrong, okay? But we're not getting it. We're only touching the outer surfaces, and we haven't delved into the deep end. My argument with that has been, Nicole, that the reason why we see that the way it is because we are sitting in first gear trying to shift into second. If we're on a manual transmission of UFOs here. And we haven't really taken that step because we're still looking for questions about Roswell and Kecksburg and every UFO crash and sighting in between. And they are already working on where are these things coming from? What is their propulsion? What, can we reverse engineer? Do we have the technology? Are they coming from space? Are they coming from, or are they using wormholes or time travel or teleportation to get here? I mean, there is a lot on the line here. A lot on the line in the differences between ufology and where people like Elizondo, Mellon, and everyone else seems to be.
There is a lot on the line. And to kind of pull from each of those little categories that you said, it's our diligence in the community. It is those on the inside working to get this out. But honestly, I think it's the right time culturally across the world for it as well. And maybe this is where this, experiencer side comes from with, the awakening. You get a personal awakening, and our community is going through awakening. And we hear little things like, that happens whether people are aware of it or not. Like there is a global awakening happening. And Grant says it, with each death, ufology gets pushed forward a little bit. And he doesn't mean that in like the old ways or people dying off in our community, but I think he means it more in the way of globally, we're coming together and we're thinking differently. And social change like that takes so long. So I think that's a factor at play here. It's this global change, which I think a part that is scary to the older generation in society is this really like a final push away from like structured religion. You know, we're no longer persecuted for our thoughts because of a church, you know,
True.
whether it, you know, that kind of world controlling spirituality.
True.
We're able to explore those avenues more greatly now. And if this is like a personal strength or something that we can explore of a natural phenomenon that has been demonized for the last 2,000 years, you know, the gloves are off now. You know, we can explore these things. Are people hesitant to jump in and do it? Yes. But that's where we're also pushing this envelope. As long as we keep doing our jobs, the next generation will do their job too.
Let's bring in the fedora-wearing John Hudson to join us for the UFO report. And the fedora-wearing John Hudson, unfortunately claiming himself to be a San Francisco Giants fan. You know, hey.
Well, I figured in honor of all the sports talk, you know, I should do something. You know, I got the hat too. You know, but you know, I figured, you know, no one would recognize me unless I was wearing this. So you know,
nobody would know who you are. And of course, for
you know, the sad thing is, you know, who's on the back of this shirt, this jersey?
Barry Bonds,
Posey.
Oh, Buster Posey. But he was so clutch in the playoffs, man.
No, I know. Look. I will always love the guy, but I'm just sad. Yeah, it's just hard to see that things change. You know?
I know.
Finding the right person for the job isn't easy. Just ask someone who hired a lounge singer to be their office receptionist.
Hello, this is Mickey Marquis, and you've reached the office of Doug & Associates. Thank you very much. Catch me Tuesday nights at the Hotel Johnson. Hello?
But if you've got an insurance question, you can always count on your local Geico agent. They can bundle your policies, which could save you hundreds.
Doug & Associates, this is Mickey Market. Hello?
For expert help with all your insurance needs, visit geico.com/local today.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
There's no loyalty in baseball. There never has been, never will be.
It only that makes me feel better is it's worse than hockey.
All right.
When my wife complains, I feel better.
The Unbiased UFO Report, hanging out here with the fedora-wearing John Hudson. Nicole Sakach is with us as well. Now, John, I know you got a big list of everything that you want to talk about tonight, but I want to get this out of the way first because, you know, it's very rare I actually have a topic for you. And I think with Nicole here, we can spend some time on this because I want her opinion on this as well. During the weekend, Kurt J. Mungle interviewing Luis Elizondo and Sean Cahill. And one of the things that we heard is there is a very good opportunity, and I had told you this privately a couple weeks ago, that we can expect Lou Elizondo to most likely stop appearing on a lot of podcasts and in ufology. I think he's worn out. I think he's done with the criticism, whether people feel he deserves it or not. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, John? I mean, this is an important aspect because ufology has always wanted someone like Elizondo, and when we finally get him, we can't. It really goes to show that ufology and the people involved cannot have nice things.
No, actually, what I would argue is it's another perfect example of smart people talking and no one listening. Elizondo has made it very clear through this entire process that he did not plan to be involved in this. He has felt duty-bound to be involved in this, but it is his goal to work himself out of it as fast as possible. And the thing is that, you know, the truth be told, that is the sign of a good leader, right? A good leader should always be working in ways to make themselves irrelevant. That's kind of what your job is, right? And so this has always been his goal. Now, it might be that it happens sooner than we think, but also my personal opinion is that what I got from Kurt's show wasn't that. So I expect to at some point see the complete Elizondo pullback where he vanishes. I mean, and like you might get an interview out of him in 10 years, right? So I expect that to happen at some point. What I think what we're talking about now is different. I think what we're talking about now is I think you're finally talking about a time period where certain interview targets start taking a more discerning eye to what venues they're represented on. And I think that what you're going to start to see is Elizondo and Cahill and some others start to become extremely picky about what venues they show up on, why they show up, how much information is required to show up. Like, as crazy as this may sound to hear, it's not any fun to talk about the same thing over and over again either, right? It's no more fun than it is to listen to, right? So if you guys don't have new information, then don't just bring them out because it's going to get your name on your podcast, right? So I think that's the change we're talking about now, not the complete departure of it.
Nicole, I want to get your opinion on that. Do you see it the same way as John, or do you see Lou finally say he's had enough and, he's going to take some time?
Does it have to be forever? I mean, I think those of us in this field that really hit it hard and push hard and then get in the limelight, I think everybody steps back every once in a while and needs to take a break. So
he just did, though.
Yeah, but he's operating at a different level than we are too. Like,
I agree.
Take another break. Take as many as you need. This field sucks you back in. So whether you decide to take a break and, say you're done, he'll be back. So if Lou steps away, he'll be back.
Well, but I mean, and I agree. I mean, I think that even when he finally departs, I think we're going to see him pop up once in a while for really good stuff. But I think that, I don't know. I mean, to me, the sense I got from it was that, they talked about the fact that, people would come up to him and the first thing they'd say is, hey, did you know the moon's hollow? And so it's the pressure they're being put under to kind of, meld with all this stuff is just, it's a nightmare for them. And so the impression I got from them was essentially they don't want to go on shows anymore that speculate. They now just want to go on shows that accept data and consider data and process data, and not on shows that speculate.
I think that Elizondo, for the most part, is going to disappear off the map. I think he may show up at the odd conference. He may show up on the odd radio show, but the tours that we are going to see, I think he's worn out. I think that he has, especially over the last 6 months, taken an extreme amount of criticism that he never expected. I know that he never expected, because he's told me in previous conversations, they never expected to get the criticism that they did with the To the Stars Academy. And I think that, in the end, that I don't want to say he's leaving because of a certain faction of ufology, but in the end, there are probably reasons that he is being called to different areas. He probably wants to concentrate more on what's happening in Washington, D.C. When you're doing 4 or 5 podcasts a week at an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3, it eats up a lot of time because there's preparation work, there's phone calls to be made. And, when you're doing a podcast in the middle of the day or the middle of the night, that may be at a time when a senator or a general wants to talk about this subject with you. And I could see him pulling back.
The microscope that people put him under, it's ridiculous. I mean, I wouldn't put up with it.
Not many of us would.
I mean, did you see what happened on the show? They freaked out because someone figured out that Elizondo and Cahill were actually at the same house at the same time. And they thought it was like this big conspiracy. It's like, no, they're friends. Drop it. It's no big deal. And it's like, it blew up into this huge thing. It's like, really? That's what you guys are going to focus on? considering the meat of this conversation, blew my mind.
I look at it like this way too, though. If he's going to be out and stay gone and not be involved with this even behind the scenes, then he's not staying true to his promises that he did make to our community. And if he's a good leader and is going to follow through with his goals that he's set, he's at least going to pass the torch and give us the new Lou if Lou's going away.
And that's exactly what I was going to say next. You're totally right. No one's going to hand over something they care about that's not finished without turning command over to someone else. He'd be grooming someone by now if he was really going to.
I think we already know who that person is, though.
And
and that's Sean Cahill.
I look at this a little bit like John Podesta, though, too. I mean, he kind of came out a long time ago and was a front runner out in public with this, and then he kind of disappeared. But he has not stopped driving his goals for this community behind the scenes. I mean, he's still speaking to people in the know and people he's connected to. Christopher Mellon's the same way. So,
and
if he retires from our community, that's just what it is. He's retiring from our community, So be it. You can't retire from ufology, though. It just gets in your system and doesn't let you go away.
No, very, very true. But I mean, it is something that's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. I think Sean Cahill, who has probably the best hair and beard combination in ufology right now, is the one who we will start seeing a lot more of in the near future. Less of Lou, more of Sean. And I think that Lou is going to fade into the black. No pun intended to Jimmy Church or the Fader-Knots, but I think Lou is going to fade back. He's only going to be doing shows that are, let's just say, maybe more friendly to his approach. If that's I'm not saying not hard questions, okay, but I think he's not going to be jumping on every podcast that asks him to come on. I mean, we saw that earlier this week with a bunch of cancellations that they did due to travel issues. Now, we have Lou Elizondo scheduled on this show for April 28th, and, I can already tell you, I'm already preparing for it. I'm already preparing because I don't want to have the same interview that he has had the last 25 times. I don't want that to happen. And so with somebody like that, you have to prepare a little bit differently than you would a John Hudson or a Nicole Sakach or a Grant Cameron or anybody of that ilk. You have to. You don't have a choice. But I do see him stepping back. Of course, when he finally finishes the elusive book, of course there's going to be a book tour, but I don't see him, and sources in behind have told me that Lou will step back and start to pass the torch over because, like you said, John, you can only it's not because of the community or those who are razzing him to the point of death threats, all right, which he has received. It is to the point of the job is changing, and a good leader knows when a shift has to be made, and I think we're going to see that shift sooner rather than later with Sean Cahill taking the front and Lou kind of stepping into the back as like a senior administrator or somebody who comes out of the woodwork every so often.
And just for anyone that's seen any kind of skeptical look on my face with Sean Cahill, let me make it very clear. I think Sean's completely capable. I have no doubt that Elizondo would put his faith in Sean whatsoever. The only thing I'm questioning is my little interactions with Sean indicate he has a decent level of intelligence, and so I question whether he would do it or not, but we'll see.
I don't think there's a choice. I think there's a game plan in play. And
well, we'd be lucky to have him.
We would. But I think Sean is also going to be very, very vocal, and knowing where I've been on the back end of that conversation, or I should say the front end of that conversation, where he has said, hey, I'll come on your show. What are we talking about? And when I've mentioned topics, he's been like, nope, not talking about that. Nope, already talked about that. Come on, Dave, push yourself a little harder. Like, he pushes me. And that's why I haven't had Sean on the show in a long time. I'm trying to figure out what the hell to talk to this guy about. Okay, because
but I love that he does that, man.
Oh, dude, it's
awesome.
fantastic. But I really do believe
that's really cool.
Yeah, I think he is going to push, whereas Lou is more of a like, hey, let me help you out. We'll come on the air. We'll tell some stories. I'll throw you a couple of tidbits, and, you know, hopefully your audience likes it. I think Sean is going to be more direct, in my opinion, if he takes over from Lou, if Lou decides to step back. And Sean is going to be pushing radio hosts and podcasters and YouTube channels to, you know, expand their minds, expand their limits to what they want. It's not going to be about Roswell. It's not going to be about Kecksburg or even 2004. It is well beyond that, and he is going to want to push that to the next level. That's what I think is going to happen.
It's going to crack me up if the result of this is that sometime in the future we see all these podcasters stepping up and doing all this like snappy work just because Sean's like bugging their ass trying to get it done. It'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to continue on with the unbiased UFO report. Fedora-wearing John Hudson is here, looking very, very astute in his one and only sports uniform, a San Francisco Giants jersey. And the amazing and talented Nicole Sakach is going to continue with us as well when we return from the break with the unbiased UFO report. When we come back, we're going to put the final nail in this Anjali story because I think it's over. I think it's done. I think it's at a point of saying the coffin has been sealed on this story. Maybe. John will have more with this on the Unbiased UFO Report next on Spaced Out Radio. Just to let everybody know, I usually am editing live before or after the show. Because I've been on air literally since 7:30, I am going to be editing the show in the morning, and so I'm going to be up a little bit earlier to edit the show. So I'm honestly really, really tired after, well,
he's going to kick you all out at midnight.
We're 4 hours in, and
you need some of my coffee?
Oh.
I'll hang out with you.
So I'm gonna, after the broadcast ends, I am gonna shut it down and head off to bed because I am absolutely zonked. But I hope that doesn't offend any of you because I know you like hanging out with us, especially in the after show where I kind of open it up to all of you guys. But just tonight, because of the night, it's been an amazing night of broadcasting. I'm just a little worn out.
But I will say, Dave, I'm
Yeah.
super impressed with how good your voice still sounds. Like I assume that's also something they teach you at some point. But it's like to me, it's always amazing when you have someone that has a good voice, and then still a number of hours later, it's like, why don't you sound bad now? You should sound bad now. That's really not fair. But I guess it's the skill. So
Yeah, my throat has been feeling better lately. It has.
Oh, good.
And I think I figured out why. And that is I have cut down on my Tim Hortons ice caps. I've increased the amount of water that I have been drinking recently. And I'm eating less salty food. So give you an example. Tonight, for dinner, I had a vegetarian dinner. I had cabbage with broccoli, like cooked cabbage, because I love cooked cabbage, with broccoli and some cauliflower. And
That was your dinner?
That was my dinner. I had some.
Very impressive.
I did have some nice pasta for lunch, so I got my carbs in earlier today. But I just kind of topped up.
Nicole's like, what am I walking into?
I heard cauliflower.
Yeah. I sent both of you a private message in the StreamYard here. So I'll hook up with you guys about that and kind of go from there. But like I said, after the show, normally I let you guys sit around while I'm editing the show. But tonight I'm going to head to bed early and try and get a little bit extra sleep, because being on the air for 4 hours plus is hard. And it's
come on, slacker. I mean,
I know.
It's step up a little bit.
I know.
You know what's hard for me doing your show? Is sitting in this chair. Like, I need to invest in I'm in front of my computer chair, because I'm used to standing up for 10 hours a day, not sitting on my butt for 2 hours. It feels so weird.
Mm-hmm. I hear
you. You have to invest in a good chair whenever you're going to be sitting for a while.
Oh, yeah.
It'll mess up everything. I mean, it can mess up your voice. It can mess up all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Mess up you're going to need a chiropractor.
I want to give mad props to Jimmy Church's little underling a little bit. Christina Gomez. She sits there and looks all nice and professional all through her broadcasts, and I'm envious of that a little bit. I don't have that sit still and behave quality. Yeah, it's Women's Month. I got to celebrate some fellow women. So that was my nod to Miss Christina.
I totally agree. It's been a lot of fun. She's definitely a natural talent.
She's amazing. Hey, there's my man, Jason. How you doing, buddy? All right, we got about 40 seconds. Damn it, I forgot to ask Jimmy about breakfast for dinner and the other stuff.
That's okay. That was a weird show for all the right reasons.
It was a lot of fun though.
Full of one-offs.
A lot of fun.
Oh, Dave.
I think dimensions collided. Honestly,
it was a lot of fun just to slip back into fan mode and just listen.
All right, guys. Way cool. I'm going to get you to hold on because we're going to launch it right now. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you all with us. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott here at SOR headquarters in beautiful British Columbia, and want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the unbiased UFO report. The fedora-wearing John Hudson is here along with Nicole Sakach, researcher and author. And right before the break, I had mentioned that we're finally going to put, it seems like, the final nail in the coffin of this story about Anjali. This is a lady, for reminder's sake, who said that maybe a year or two ago, she was in California. She met this dude named Wayne and his wife, and they were talking about aliens in some cave on Wayne's property near the Mojave Desert. Well, things may not be all that they seem, especially after this past weekend.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. Welcome to another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper gig speeds. Say hello to the Walkers, a family of not one but 4 gagillionaires, each living up their gagillionaire life at ludicrous internet speed. First up, Anna Walker. She dominates streaming like the matriarch she is. No show ever goes unwatched under her watch.
Next episode.
Next up, Peter Walker. There's no stopping this dad bod from showing up to his virtual workout sessions.
Let's go leg day.
And finally, the Walker twins. They may look alike but couldn't internet more differently. Harry dominates his fellow online gamers while Heather group video chats with friends.
Ooh, nice background filter, Jess.
Live like a gagillionaire. Get internet that upgrades everything. AT&T Fiber, now with speeds up to 5 gigs.
Limited availability in select areas. Speeds not guaranteed. Single device wired speed max 4.7 gig per second. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
Looking for a way to grow your business? Postcard Mania allows you to target prospects or businesses precisely by hundreds of demographics. We'll deliver a gorgeous postcard advertising your business and displaying matching ads on Google, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll create your campaign based on proven results from our 103,000 clients. Visit postcardmania.com/Pandora to get your first 1,000 postcards free.
John, fill us in what happened.
So first off, hats off to Steve Cambrian and Truth Seekers and that whole group. He was able to get Wayne and Anjali on his show. I believe it was consecutive nights. I mean, honestly, even if it had been in the same month, I would have been blown away. And the thing is that he. I think that the way that she was treated this time was a little different, and I'm going to speak to that in a minute. But I think historically, I think Steve deserves a lot of credit for showing her a lot of respect and doing a good job of fostering a relationship with her, and I think that paid off, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. Unfortunately, as you mentioned in the Wayne interview, essentially Wayne didn't back up the story at all, and he offers some hypotheses for what might have happened. It might have been related to some oil that they consumed. It might be related to he basically does not back up her story, and then in the following day, basically he interviewed her. Now this is where it gets a bit challenging because you can understand how an interview with her after an interview with Wayne could be a challenging one in the best of circumstances, right? However, what happened was that at some point in the interview, and I don't remember the exact timestamp, she basically ended the interview early, and the impression was shared and given that her leaving was her acquiescence to being full of it. Right? I mean, essentially, her giving in, and that actually is not what everyone's perception is of what happened. Anjali is a survivor of PTSD-derived events. She is someone who has fought very long and hard against her mental challenges, and she's someone that is not at a place right now where she deals well with even raised voices, and I know people like this. I know strong people who will become shaking with the right tone and the right circumstances, right? And so from her point of view, she shut down because of that, because of the way she, now I'll be honest, I haven't actually done a proper analysis on the video yet to come to any sort of judgment as to whether I think one of them is, and honestly, I'm not really sure I want to, because to me, the whole thing's it's gotten really ugly. It's just, now we've gotten to the point where I almost just don't want to talk about it anymore,
Yeah.
But the thing is that to me, it now all hangs on her. If she quietly ventures off into the sunset, then as far as I'm concerned, we just move on, right? If she decides to continue to engage, then we have to evaluate that, I guess, for what it is. But I'm seriously hoping that's not what happens.
Nicole, what's your thoughts on this whole drama?
I think my go-to response when this is brought up is so much personal journey enters into any kind of experience. And I think maybe when she's ready to talk about it from a mental health perspective and a drug taking perspective, like maybe to gain that sort of insight behind her experience, I think there could be some fruit from this story as she maybe discovers this experiencer path a little more. If I follow some of the smaller details, there was some plant medicine effects in play, and that could be part of, her regaining her mental health, and experiences through that vein, I think is still new for our community. That's a big pill for our community to swallow without just scoffing at. So instead of just writing it off completely because certain aspects don't line up between this person's experience and that person's experience, I can easily lay that down and see how it's discussed maybe 5 years from now.
And I think you bring up a really good point in that because of the lack of field of view that we have, it's very possible this is a souffle that we caught halfway through, right? That basically she's just not done yet, right? That she's still on that journey. And that's why, and look, I mean, how many of us have been through portions of our journey where if we had been forced to go public with what we were thinking and doing at that point in time, he wouldn't have gone well, right? So, I mean, it's like, we've all been through darker points, right? So I think, I gotta be honest, I hadn't thought about that. And I think you bring up a good point, and I'm going to think about that more because I think you're right. I think it might be worth reevaluating at a later time for that reason. But once again, I think it's really up to her as to whether she wants to subject herself to any of this.
Well,
again.
I think the other thing that we have to realize too is the UFO public, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second before we move on in topics. The UFO field and the people who follow it are very quick to dismiss an experiencer's chain of events. But the minute someone comes in and counters it, like this Wayne did, I forget his real name, but we'll call him Wayne for right now, comes in and says, well, she's not telling the truth. There is none of this here. There is none of that happening. This didn't happen. Yet we're all ready to believe him right off the bat. Now, I saw the interviews, okay, and I will be honest with you, I've never believed Anjali for a second. I think it's an experiencer thing. All right? But on the flip side, why do we as a community want to believe the person who is denying the events rather than the person who is leading or living the events? I mean, the easy answer to that is extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. But that's not always the case.
No. And this gets into, Nicole brought up a really good point. I mean, I really think that in many cases what's going on here is that, this is all about our own personal journeys and so forth.
Nicole, what's your thoughts as an experiencer?
What was the question? Was there, I'm sorry, I was also writing at the same time.
Well, just in regards that for many people in the UFO community who watch shows like this, we're very quick to believe and to trust the person who says, "No, that didn't happen. That's not what happened. That isn't what's happening." And yet we are very quick to throw under the fire with fresh gasoline the experiencer who says, "No, this is actually what happened." Because let's face it, if this Wayne guy probably and his wife probably did not like the press and the pressure that they were getting and the hunting down that happened over the internet. That would have been highly uncomfortable. Strange people calling your phone from all sorts of UFO podcasts in a community that you have nothing to do with, coming out and saying this. Okay, now, like I said, I do believe Wayne. I do believe him. I've never really bought into Anjali's story, but for some reason this community is very quick to believe the denialists rather than the person who is having the experience. Nicole,
I would differ. Or I would just differ with one thing really quickly, and that is I don't know if that's totally true, because very often what a lot of us do is we throw out both sides, and that's what I do. Because essentially, if I have two people that were both at the same event and they're both telling me different stories, they're both invalid data until I can find a third source, or a fourth source, or a fifth source.
John,
you
can't.
It depends on your point of view.
You cannot give a great number of the UFO community that much credit. There are a number of people in this community who will poo-poo any type of experience.
True.
Any type, and
That's a good point.
you know, like I can sit there and say, like, even watching Jimmy's chat room tonight about experiences that I had when I was talking to him, and none of those people were there with Samantha Mowat and I, but they were all like, "Oh, this is a stupid story." Okay, and I get that. I know that going in.
It's hard.
Okay,
it's hard to believe. It really is. I mean, I understand that. It is. It's
right.
hard. All of this stuff hard.
Nicole,
I think it's because it's just that simple, basic human nature. The left side of our brain wants that concrete, fits in a box answer. So anytime, something unbelievable is challenged, that's when that inhibitor kicks in.
Stitch it together.
That's what that's like the fail safe. So that's why it's important to get the open-minded people and suspend that judgment, passing judgment for a second and go with it. Jump in the rabbit hole. And, it does push the envelope to explore the unexplained. And we're not all just these lunatics that have these flippant theories about things,
No, you have to do thought experiments. You have to suspend certain beliefs and encourage other ones and play them out and see what happens. You have to model things. You have to work on this. You have to consider other people's views. You can't just stick to your own rigid mindset. I mean, I think you're dead on, but I think it's just, it's a very challenging thing for everyone to learn, even as humans, let alone in this field.
Right.
All right, let's move on to another topic. We're going to skip the news tonight. And let's move on to another topic, and that is there was a UFO, John, filmed by an airline pilot deemed genuine. Explain this one.
Yes. Yeah, so this is a really interesting case. I was blown away by the fact that anyone would call this genuine. But what I find very interesting about this case is that this is a story that's out on iHeartRadio. It's being posted in different places, and essentially, I'm honestly just blown away that language was used in the headlines of the article. I'm blown away by the language in the article. I mean, it was a very, it was just a very forward-thinking article that just was really actually. I guess my point is that this treated this as a normal news case, right? They asked questions, they got information, they told what happened, right? This was dealt with like a real news case.
Okay.
They believed him to a degree, and that usually doesn't happen with UFO stories.
So what happened?
And so that's kind of an amazing thing. Oh, so I'm sorry. So basically, a pilot was flying an Airbus 320 on a routine flight over, I'm going to mispronounce this, Medellin, Colombia. Looked out the cockpit window, and among the clouds spotted something he'd never seen. He quickly grabbed his phone and filmed what he was witnessing. The first pointing his camera at his altimeter, which showed that he was at 30,000 feet, and then basically aims it out the window, and you see this strange geometric metallic-like object flying out the window, and I mean, there's film of it, and the thing is that to me, I don't like, to me, I want to encourage people to report these sort of things. I want everyone talking about them, and I want people to get out of the habit of thinking that you're going to get closure on it anytime soon, right? A lot of times you're not going to get closure on these things for a long time, and so it concerns me a little bit that they're putting this out there and saying, and it's confirmed to be a genuine UFO. It's like, well, I'd be a little careful with that, but I think it's great that they're talking about this case and they're talking about it in such a open-minded point of view.
I think it's great too. I mean, I think that these stories are starting to get play from credible airline pilots is fantastic. I'm glad it's not military. Okay, I think when you add the civilian portion to it, it really brings a whole new ground, because with military, we just don't know. We really don't know what we're dealing with. But when civilians are seeing it, and let's give the pilots credit where credit is due. These gentlemen and women who are flying these multi-million-dollar craft, who literally have hundreds of lives on the line each time they take off, their job is to know what is around them at all times. And that's not just the computer's job, that is the pilot's job as well. And when you recognize something that you can't explain, that is maybe even not on your radar, that is right beside you, and you see the little gray hand with 3 fingers and 1 thumb waving at you, not like it happened in this case, but it's fun to say. Right. All right? Yep. I think it brings a whole level of credibility to this. Now, the question is, the cool part about it is, we're starting to see this in the United States. A couple months ago, we had it happen with an American Airlines pilot down in Texas that was flying, or over New Mexico, that was flying to Texas. And now we have this one out of Medellin, Colombia. I hope more pilots are in agreement to come out with this.
And as more of these pilots come out, and the pilots that are in that community check up and find that they haven't been reprimanded, that they haven't lost their jobs, they haven't ended up on some street corner begging for change because no one would let them fly an airplane anymore, right? Once people start recognizing that now things have changed, because let's face it, in the past, that poor Japanese pilot, they put him through hell, right? So, airline pilots had a reason to be careful in the past, right? So I think times are changing in many areas, and it's a good thing.
Nicole, what's your thoughts?
I'm with you. I'm really excited that this is a non-military thing that's making headlines, because that's kind of been my push this whole time is, these things are happening over, corn country and the flyover states. It isn't just happening off the East Coast and the West Coast. And, right before Christmas, I think we had our first Tic Tac reported in Illinois. So,
wow.
Yeah, Tic Tac with fighter jets. So, as cases like this and pilots come forward and this data is made available, then I think that's when it's going to start hitting home, really sinking in. We
will hit it. We will hit a snowball inflection point. We will hit this inflection point where suddenly the bulk of the pilots start realizing, wait a second, if I report these weird things I see, sometimes I actually find out what they are. That's kind of neat, right?
You guys already talked to pilots already, though? I know some flight attendants. I know some pilots. And, they all swap their stories.
They all talk. They all know it. They just can't say anything publicly.
Right.
That's going to change now.
Very true.
There is a reporting center, and I always jumble up the name, but I can get it to you guys and drop it in later. But there is an anonymous reporting center that pilots and flight attendants and ground crews can report into, but it's kind of where does that data go? So is it just to get it off their chest? It's not officially with the FFA or anything, but it is a website that they can turn to. So it'll be interesting if that gets more attention as well.
Well, you know what? Let's hope it continues, because I'm sure there are still airlines out there, the companies, that do not want their pilots going public with something like this. But the more the reports do come out...
Janet Airlines.
Yeah. Janet Airlines is definitely not talking about that. And knowing Air Canada, they're probably not going to say anything as well. WestJet on the upper hand here in Canada, they have said things. There are reports about that. John, thank you for an extended version of the Unbiased UFO Report. Very much appreciate you and your job that you do with this and on the After Hours show on the weekends. Nicole Sakach, you are literally one of the best out there. You really are. And we appreciate each time you come on the air with us. Usually it is on the roundtables at the end of the month, but this time we caught you mid-month, and thank you so much. And, of course, a big thank you to our good friend Jimmy Church from Fade to Black Radio for coming on in.
That was cool.
Where we did a simulcast. I was on his show earlier on this evening, and we followed it straight into Spaced Out Radio. So it made for a wonderful night of stories that maybe some of you hadn't even heard from any of us at this time. That's the good part of when a couple of old radio veterans get together and they hang out behind the microphones and they swap some war stories from back in their day as budding sports reporters covering the news on what is going on. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we own the night.
Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Wait a minute. I've heard that before. That's the note Jeremy wrote to me in my yearbook in the 6th grade. How'd you even know that?
Because it's from Geico.
Yeah, wait, here it is. Dear Luke, have a great summer. P.S. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Love, Jeremy.
Geico's had this tagline for years, because we help save people money.
So wait, you're saying Jeremy copied you? Yeah, that actually does sound like something the J-Man would do.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hey, Ray Magliozzi here. I don't know about you, but my car could use a few upgrades. I mean, the 8-inch tear in the driver's seat does have sentimental value since my butt has molded to fit it, but I'm ready to move on. My solution? eBay Motors. They've got all the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them, from seat covers to whole new seats. When I get that new seat, I think I'll put the old one in the living room, right next to the minivan seats, or as we call it, the sectional. eBay Motors. Let's ride.